This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
And the pitch is swung on, hit the right field, hit deep. Whitefield going back at the track, over his head, and over the wall. Do you believe that?
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Ramirez with a drive to deep right, away back, goal!
Gohei hits a bomb out there by the Rocks. And boy, oh boy, this third inning is now showtime.
It is a Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to spin rates to game-changing moments. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us next from the town, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to A's Cast Live, the Friday edition. We have an unbelievable show for you. We got great baseball coming up as the series will head from San Diego, where it was in the 90s, to now we're in Philly. Now we're on the East Coast, and I haven't even checked the weather. It says in my notes it's going to be 58 degrees, but the sun goes down. It'll be colder than that. So game 3 of the NLCS. Obviously, a lot to talk about today with the ALCS. Get into some A's. Paul Hembekides from ESPN. He's one of our favorite guests. Hembo is a Phillies fan. You know he's got to be jacked. He's going to join us in moments. Rollie Fingers, the Hall of Famer, will be here at 2:30. Are we able to make the big announcement?
Yeah, well, it's already out now.
It is?
Yeah, it's already. It came on at 10 a.m. this morning.
I didn't know. I thought we were breaking the announcement.
No, we have spots that I wrote and that we're going to run, but the big announcement, if you want to break it, go ahead.
Go. No, you tell me.
On April 16th of next year, so 2023, we're going to honor the 1973 new Oakland Athletics that beat the New York Mets in the World Series. And we're having a flash sale right now where you can buy tickets at ticket prices from 1973. So the tickets are around $5.50 right now on our website. It's athletics.com/flash sale. You can see the banner running underneath here. So if you want to get the tickets, athletics.com/flash sale today.
Rollie Fingers, you could make a case. Maybe we'll throw this on Hembo. I know he's sitting in the background.
Yeah, he's waiting.
Can I at least get the damn guest out? Is Rollie Fingers the greatest reliever of all time? When you look at the numbers and you look at the volume, we shall ask. Eno Sarris, our national baseball columnist from The Athletic, will be here at 3 o'clock. And then our A's historian, and of course, does the great work for NBC Bay Area, for the Pac-12 network, and an official scorer in Major League Baseball, the great Dave Feldman. But what a day it is. Our man, Paul Hembekides, Hembo from ESPN, but more importantly, a Phillies fan. And I got to think, riding high. How are you, my friend?
I've never been better in my life. My baby girls were born like 7 weeks ago, okay? Since then, they know no such thing as losing. The Eagles haven't lost a game yet. All right, yeah. The Phillies are 3 wins away from the World Series. James Harden, it appears to me, has eaten multiple salads this summer. He looks spry. And the Flyers are winning games. Like this, my girls have brought good luck to the city of Philadelphia. I don't ever recall an instance in which all of my teams were this good at the same time.
Man, when you got it rolling, you just ride the streak. And when I think about how things are going there in Philadelphia, as you mentioned, football undefeated, but you've been at the ballpark for these playoff games. Talk about the energy. They say it's like a nightclub in between innings. Everybody's dancing in the stands. Nobody can hear each other talk because it's so loud and crazy. What is it like at a Philadelphia Phillies game right now?
It is incomparable. And I don't mean to subject you guys to hyperbole, but I mean this when I say this. I have had the opportunity, largely because of my job, to attend some of the best and coolest sporting events of the last 10 years. Like I've been to college football national championship games. I've been to NBA finals games. I was in the building for game 3 of the 2016 World Series at Wrigley, the first World Series game the Cubs had hosted since 1945. And I mean this when I say this. I have never in my life heard a louder, more guttural exclamation than when Rhys Hoskins hit a home run in Game 3 against the Braves and Gronk spiked his bat. At that time, I have been to dozens of punk rock concerts. Never have my ears heard anything like what I heard in that ballpark that day. I always, or often I should say, get annoyed when the broadcasters will often cite like the crowd and getting the crowd into it and the impact and all that stuff. Generally, I find that to be somewhat nauseating. I can tell you definitively that it made a difference in that game and has made a difference in Philadelphia this postseason. I mean, they're chanting DUI at Marcell Ozuna. We're irreverently doing the tomahawk chop. All right, Ronald Acuna forgot how to play right field in Game 4 of that series. Like, I think there has been an impact on winning. The Citizens Bank Park crowd has been unbelievable, and I expect it to play a factor in Game 3, 4, and 5 as well.
Joe Musgrove says he likes pitching on the road in the hostile environment. He likes it better than pitching at home. Are you buying it?
Sure. I mean, we saw him shove against the Mets at Citi Field, so much so that Buck Showalter felt the need to examine that man's ears in between innings, which was ridiculous, steadfastly ridiculous. But like, Joe Musgrove is shoving right now. I don't care if he's pitching in San Diego, in Philadelphia, or in Timbuktu. Right now, he is one of the toughest outs in all of baseball when you get to 2 strikes against him. Over his last 5 games, 32 strikeouts against 5 hits when he gets to 2 strike counts. He has been money. His stuff is vicious. And he has a massive advantage over Ranger Suarez in Game 3 of this series. I'm hoping what the Phillies can do. And this is not a strategy I generally think is worth employing in the playoffs. But I hope the Phillies try and chase him early. Like, generally speaking, I like in the playoffs because these bullpens are so good. Attack first pitch against the starters. Like, that's probably your best shot. But not against Joe Musgrove. If they can chase him by the 5th inning, I like the Phillies in Game 3. If not, I think it's going to be a long day at the ball yard.
Now, I have to think, do you have That's What's It from KUSI morning show in San Diego? KUSI is one of the local stations in San Diego that they played this bit. It went absolutely viral. Did you hear this?
Play it for me.
All right.
San Diego. Let's do this. Come on. Philly going down to yellow and brown. That's what's in. Padres on the loose. Let's go, Goose. That's what's in. Bryce gonna lose, and Manny's gonna cruise. That's what's in.
All right, I can't.
Give Philly
All
no
right.
slack and send them back. That's what's in.
I mean, this is like 7 or 8 grown men. I immediately had a reaction because, as you know, I'm from San Diego. I texted this video to all of my brother, my buddies, and I said, this is the exact reason why this town is so soft and has never won anything. And the fact that the producers of this morning show and of this station think it's cute. They think it's funny. And you're like, that's why you never win, because you're soft and you actually think that's good.
I have 2 comments. The first of which is I'm actually really impressed that they were able to cobble all 8 Padres fans together and be able to do that. Like, that was a remark. I mean, I mean, that's a tough putt. So congratulations on being able to aggregate all those people and get them in the same spot. Secondly, the Phillies have a much better song, and I'll sing it for you. And it goes like this: no one likes us, no one likes us, no one likes us, we don't care. We're from Philly, Philly. No one likes us. We don't care. At least it's a real freaking song.
You can't lose. You can't lose to a town that thinks that's good. You just out of like professional pride, you can't lose. By the way, switching over to the ALCS, can we officially say the Yankees are done?
Yes, I predicted before the series began that the Yankees would be swept. I see no obvious reason to believe that they won't be swept.
Did you say that on the shows on ESPN?
I not only said that on the shows on ESPN, I wielded a broom. I held a broom over my right shoulder. You can go to my Twitter feed. I held a broom over my right shoulder on the shows the last couple of days because I feel so strongly that the Astros were going to overpower the Yankees. Their only hope is that Garrett Cole pitches out of his freaking mind in Game 3, which in fairness, he is very capable of doing. Garrett Cole has sort of quietly proven to be a big game pitcher. For some reason, he's the kind of pitcher for whom we only notice when he doesn't live up to expectations. But generally speaking, in the playoffs, especially with the Yankees. He's been good. Like, he truly has been very good. But I don't really see a path to winning for them unless he shoves and can probably do so again later in the series. I have a remarkable number to demonstrate how much the Astros are owning the Yankees right now. Okay, there have been, in the history of Major League Baseball, actually, I went back to 1901 to pull this note. Since 1901.
We're going 1901. Where were you in 1901?
My grandmother, who died 5 years ago, wasn't even born yet.
Wow. All right, 1901.
So this is how far back we got to go in order to contextualize how bad the Yankees are right now against the Houston Astros. There have been 24,620 instances in which one team has played another at least 7 times in the season. 24,620. There is only, however, one instance in which one team hit below 150 in that season series. And that, my friend, is the New York Yankees against the Houston Astros this year. They're hitting 148 across 9 games against Astros pitching this year. Hashtag.
Wow. You know, I remember back in the day, the Eagles and the Giants had a ferocious rivalry. Obviously, we have seen Yankees, Phillies in a World Series in 2009, but they hardly play each other. I couldn't even tell you Knicks and Sixers. Jesus, it's been so long since either one have been relevant. Hockey, no clue. Like, what is the – because you're not far from each other. You're a train ride away. What is the rivalry of just two bitter cities when you look at New York? Well, New York, you got all the boroughs, but Philly, New York, only Jersey between you. What is the rivalry like?
I can tell you that the team that we hate the most in Philadelphia is the Dallas Cowboys. It is truly an Eagles town, and the hatred directed at the Dallas Cowboys twice a year is unbelievable. Like, I can tell you for sure, there is nothing else close. I mean, there have been times in which, Phillies fans have extra hated the Mets, and there have been times in which Sixers fans have extra hated the Celtics. But generally speaking, it's the Cowboys. And as it relates to the Yankees and the Astros, with all due respect to the Yankees, hammer and nail don't have a rivalry. They have a relationship. And the Astros have been the hammer, and the Yankees have been the nail since 2017. And I'm afraid to say to all my buddies that root for the Yankees, I think this is their last real chance at winning a championship. I truly mean that. Obviously, there's much more than a non-zero chance that Aaron Judge does not come back. I think it's probably more likely than not that he doesn't re-sign there. And what else are you getting excited about on that team? Like, they're not filled with young talent. They don't have a lineup that's ready to take over if he leaves. They don't have good young pitching in the organization. Their bullpen is scattershot. They're going to be a little bit challenged financially because they've made some serious long-term commitments. I see the Rays as a player development behemoth. I see the Blue Jays with a bunch of good young talent on that team. The Orioles just improved more than any club in the sport with the lowest payroll in it. And the Red Sox were in the ALCS last year. The Yankees championship window is closing, and it's closing fast.
I just had to go to our A's Cast Live koozie here to get out a pen because I needed to write down October 21st, 2022. It's been predicted. The Yankees are done. I love it. Hey, Himbo, when we were there in June and getting our ass handed to us, and everybody's like, oh, the Yankees are the greatest team ever. I made a live prediction on this program. The Yankees would not be in the World Series. I predicted that. I'm going to be right. But your prediction is even bigger and bolder. The Yankee dynasty, 24 playoff appearances in 28 years, is about to die, and you're making that proclamation October 21st, 2022. I love it.
Here's the deal, bro. Here's the deal. I picked the Yankees to miss the playoffs before the season began because what I saw was a team that had a lineup that left a lot to be desired. And it was my theory at the time, obviously incorrectly, that in the American League East, that just was not going to fly. And then we saw them play historically good baseball in the first half of the season. And we saw Aaron Judge turn into Babe Ruth for a year. Like, these are things that are not going to be duplicated. They're just not. Aaron Judge accounted for 10 wins by himself this season. And he carried that lineup in the second half when no one could hit a lick. What's left there? Like, if you're a Yankees fan, truly, what are you excited about? Are you excited about one of the Perazzas? Are you excited about Anthony Volpe, who was too good apparently to trade for Luis Castillo? Are you excited about the Aaron Hickses and DJ LeMahieu's and Josh Donaldson and other journeyman players that can catch a little bit but can't hit a lick? Are you excited about the 5 years left on Garrett Cole's contract? about Nestor Cortez and Luis Severino? Like, what are you excited about? I just want to know. I just want to know why you should feel good about heading into your future in an absolutely stacked division.
The only way this could be better if you were wearing a LeBron James jersey.
with which team though? With which LeBron James team?
I would probably go. Yeah, would you go Miami Heat? Would you go Laker? Would you go old school Cavs? Akron? What would you?
I'd go Cavs because he's going to go back there when he's done with the Lakers. So I mean, we all know what's coming, right? Like LeBron's going back to Cleveland again.
I don't.
With a chance to
with Bronny to rebuild the Cavaliers
for the land.
Yeah,
it'll be for
the chance to steal a championship from Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley and all the guys that actually have built that program. I could see it.
Okay, very interesting. I don't know how it would go down the way you look at a Shohei Ohtani trade. Obviously, he wasn't thrilled with this year. Re-signed, obviously, for one more year, big bucks. But when you're trading Ohtani, you're trading an extreme amount of international money that you make as an organization. So there's just no apples to apples trading someone like this because of the amount of revenue he brings in from Japan, the amount of money you make off of him in this country. So I know you're thinking about a Shohei Ohtani trade. How does it go down? And when I think of all the stuff just beyond talking about how many players am I going to get for him?
Here's how it goes down. If you're running the Angels, you call a meeting with Shohei Ohtani and his representation, and you put a blank check on the table. The hope is that Shohei Ohtani will sign that piece of paper to guarantee you that he'll play for you and no one else for the rest of his career. All right, that's the objective, because I agree with you. Trading Ohtani is far beyond what kind of quantitative value does he provide you in between the lines, obviously. I mean, he is a international phenomenon. But there's also
you know what it'd be like if Fox Sports came and wanted to take you, Hembo. ESPN can't let that go.
That's a direct comp. I mean, obviously, I'm the unicorn over here. So yeah. Not only could I not pitch, I couldn't hit a lick. I'm a meager researcher. But however you choose to slice it, you offer him a blank check and see if he'll sign it. If he doesn't sign it, you have to trade him. And frankly, this is the time to do it, because Shohei Ohtani is coming off of 2 unicorn-like seasons that, in all candor, he's very unlikely to ever duplicate. What Shohei Ohtani has just done is something that no one ever thought could be done, including Babe Ruth. You play college ball. I play college ball. Not even a college coach would let you do what Joe Madden and Nevin let him do. Like, that's just not a thing. Not a thing that can happen. And so if you're able to trade him after having these 2 historic seasons, you're going to get a Herschel Walker type return. And if you're the Angels, at least from a baseball standpoint, that's exactly what you need. Your farm system has nothing. You've had one of the worst systems in baseball now for the better part of a decade. And your big league club has 2 people that matter. It's Trout and Ohtani. But if he's not going to re-sign there, what you darn sure can't do is let him walk for nothing or try and trade him at the deadline. That would be really messy. I thought the Juan Soto thing at the deadline this year was really messy. I understand the logic of bringing him back and getting 4 more months of Ohtani, but I'd be afraid with how much he puts his body through. I want to trade him while he's healthy and while his value is at an absolute premium.
Any ideas on who would be that team?
Yes. I think the Mets are going to be number 1 in line, and I'll tell you why. 1, the Mets would immediately be able to give him the contract that he would want. The Mets would have no problem giving him half a bill, like legit half a bill. Yeah. And secondly, there's a pre-existing relationship there with Billy Epler, which to my understanding is pretty strong. He brought him obviously from Japan to Los Angeles. That is the number 1 destination for Ohtani. Look, there's no team in baseball that would not at least make the phone call. But if you're asking me to handicap the thing, I would say the Mets are number 1. Not only would the Angels theoretically feel comfortable trading him to the National League, but there's obviously a relationship there with Billy Epler that would make the communication so much easier. And frankly, after the embarrassing end of that season, it's the kind of thing that Steve Cohen needs. Like, Steve Cohen, we know, thinks like a fan, tweets like a fan, but he has billions of dollars. Like, he's willing to foot that bill. That, to me, is absolutely the number 1 destination for Shohei Ohtani, whether it be via trade right now or in free agency a year from now.
Aaron Judge, you mentioned. You know, we got people out here who think, oh, he for sure is going to the Giants. What do you think? Let's say, and let's hope to God. Well, I want you to be right on that sweep, but I don't want a team to sit and wait for the NLCS. So have the NLCS be over quick. Have this be a sweep so we have a good World Series. Because we know when teams sit and wait, it just ends up going bad, right? And I want
It
to
gets
have a
messy.
World Series. But whatever. Let's say Yankees go down, they lose. Aaron Judge is a free agent. You buy that he could come out west and that he could leave
Absolutely.
New York? Yeah?
Absolutely. Dude, if Aaron Judge was committed to the Yankees, Aaron Judge would have committed to the Yankees. Like, this is not rocket surgery, okay? Aaron Judge was offered a massive contract before the season began, a contract that everyone I talked to around the industry believed was market value. It wasn't embarrassing. Now, it turned out to be embarrassing that the Yankees leaked that number, and Aaron Judge went on to hit 62 home runs. Like, it was definitely a stroke of bad luck there. I think that if Aaron Judge is anything like me, I would have been pissed off all year that the Yankees tried to embarrass me, and in turn, I did the opposite. Aaron Judge has demonstrated through his words and his actions that he is in no way interested in giving the Yankees a hometown discount. So that has been established. So then the question is, will the Yankees outpay everyone else? Will the Yankees pay more money for Aaron Judge than anyone else would? My answer to that question is no, and I'll tell you why. Because the way that the Yankees operate is, even though they spend a lot of money, Brian Cashman doesn't get enough credit, if you will, for being shrewd. Like, they don't do crazy stuff the way that the old boss did, the way that George Steinbrenner did. And if their number said a year ago that 7 for 213.5 was what he would be worth over the next 7 years, Aaron Judge hitting 62 home runs in a contract year is not going to fundamentally change that math. And if that's how they're doing the analysis and not looking at the big picture in terms of how we can market the guy and how we can impact the game and how we have the face of the league and all that stuff, if they're not looking at it that way, then Aaron Judge is going to walk and he's going to sign with the Giants or another team that has a greedy owner who wants to pray him away from New York City. The reason I think the Giants are the leader in the clubhouse is because they have enormous financial flexibility and because he obviously has ties there. They could run the same play that they ran with Barry Bonds, and that obviously worked out extraordinarily well. I think the Yankees are still the leader in the clubhouse, but they're no longer the odds-on favorite. I think the San Francisco Giants are the team that he is likeliest to go to should he leave the Yankees.
And now all of a sudden we're going to have another fancy free agent market for all these shortstops. And there's a team that just got knocked out in Los Angeles that desperately needs a shortstop. Free agent market's going to be interesting.
It's going to be hot. It's going to be really, really hot because there's going to be – I mean, there are 4 nine-figure shortstops, and there are at least half a dozen teams that could use them. Now, I understand why we loop them all together. To be clear, it's Correa, Bogarts, Trey Turner, and Dansby Swanson. I understand why we group them together. They're all shortstops. They're all free agents. But I can't for the life of me figure out why we're equating the 4 of them because that's not how I see it. I think Carlos Correa is far and away the best shortstop on the free agent market. That guy's a freaking Hall of Fame talent. The others are really good players. Carlos Correa could find himself in the Hall of Fame in 15 years. I truly mean that. He is first of all, he's the youngest among them, which is the most important thing that you should care about when you're investing a 9-figure contract in someone. He is going to stay at shortstop the longest. I'm confident, based upon his defensive metrics and his movement abilities in the infield, that you can get at least 3+ years at shortstop from him and probably 5 at least league average years at shortstop from him. It's a premium bat. When you look at all the StatCast stuff, the profile is delicious, and the fact that he just hit in that ballpark would be awfully encouraging. And I really like the way his mind works. You watch him on the TBS broadcast, the stuff he's saying in between games. Like he has a really, really good approach at the plate and has a really good sort of analytical mindset when it comes to his swing and his approach. And that's the kind of thing that I really care about. Now, Bogarts and Turner and Swanson are all great players in their own right. But this is a player who at this point in his career has more than 30 offensive WAR and 10 defensive WAR. The only other shortstops that have been able to say that through this point in their careers are Ripken, Yount, and Cronin. They all wound up in the Hall of Fame. To me, this guy is that kind of good.
I just want to check this because I know I got my fact checker to my right who would check me in a second. My only problem with him, you love everything about him, and I do agree with you. TV career, if he wants it, he'll make so much money he doesn't need it. But, you do have to love – like these guys have made so much money, they don't need to do this anymore. As long as they have to show up for FS1 or they got to show up for TBS, they can have like this little mini TV career. I love it. My problem with Correa is, you mentioned Ripken. He is no Cal Ripken. Like
Cal Ripken. Oh, for sure. I mean, Cal Ripken, in my judgment, is the best shortstop.
And I don't mean stats. What I mean by games played. This guy doesn't ring, as we like to ring the bell in Philly, right? Don't we ring the bell?
We do.
He doesn't ring the bell as much as I would like for a guy his age.
I agree with that. If there's one blemish in his resume, it's the fact that he gets hurt too often. And that's why I think there's a real chance that he –
massage, right? He gets hurt getting a massage. He gets – I'm just saying.
Sure. Yes, I get it. Look, There is no perfect player. I mean, aside from Mike Trout for a while, of course. There's no perfect player. But I will say this. Like, if I'm going to sign someone to that kind of money, there's one thing they got to know. I got to know, are you going to be great? And Carlos Correa is great. He averages about 8 WAR for every 162 games he plays. Carlos Correa is great. And while I do agree with you, I am at least mildly worried about that body. I also know for sure that if for some reason he continues to accumulate lower body injuries, I can move him to third base. He can put on 10 or 15 pounds of lower body muscle, and he can turn into Manny Machado. And if that's the baseline of the player that I'm signing, I'll take that 100 times out of 100.
How is Manny Machado not up for a Gold Glove?
That was an oversight, an egregious oversight.
I was like watching. I was like, what is that? This guy literally is one of the better shortstops in the game right now.
Yeah, he is. He's a stud. He's a star. I don't get it. To me, there's credible evidence out there that he could be the MVP of the league. I mean, Brian Hayes should win the Gold Glove in the National League at third base, but Manny Machado should obviously have been a finalist. That was a bizarre omission. The Gold Glove thing has really never been my thing. I think there's plenty of value in saying like players that accumulate, many of them aside from Derek Jeter, were all pretty good at their positions. But it seems like for all the data that we have now, this should be pretty straightforward.
Great shots fired on the New York Yankees today on this program. This might be one of my favorite shows of all time.
All right. No, I need to double back on that because you opened the door. The notion that Derek Jeter was a good shortstop is steadfastly ridiculous. And the fact that Derek Jeter is credited for being one of the greatest shortstops of all time is only true because he was a really good hitter and played there also. But we have, beyond any reasonable doubt, enormous piles of data that say that Derek Jeter is the worst shortstop ever. Derek Jeter has fewer defensive runs saved than any shortstop ever. They've been tracking that since 2003. Baseball Reference has a formula by which they can do that by running numbers a variety of ways going back forever. And he's the worst ever by their standard of measure. We're not talking about a player that was like passable at shortstop, that, you know, like that on a, like, and all the Yankee writers would always say like, yeah, but show me a play where it cost him. And they'll show you the flip play and the play where he ran into the stands. And like, I'm not suggesting that he didn't make impactful plays on the diamond. I'm saying that Derek Jeter cost his team way more runs on defense than he created. And it doesn't overshadow the fact that he's one of the best hitters of all time. But to say that he's one of the greatest shortstops ever based on that fact is steadfastly ridiculous. It's like literally just saying something completely untrue and debunked. And I don't understand why people still can't get that.
Are you going to the game tonight?
No. I was offered tickets to a few different games, but as you know, I have twin girls at home. They're 7 weeks old. So getting to the game last week took the Lord's work. I decided not to even try to pop that door open this time around. And honestly, it was such an unbelievable experience in Game 3 at the ballpark last weekend that like I want that to be the lasting memory that I have. And if the Phillies do wind up in the World Series, then I will definitely reconsider. But that was such a magical day that I don't want to do anything that could even potentially defile it.
The only reason why I say is because Oakland A great Matt Stairs is throwing out the first pitch.
I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, Stairs. Softball.
Get off of Jonathan Broxton is one of the most chilling swings I have ever seen on a baseball field. The way that ball climbed so deep into those bleachers out there was so wonderful to see as a Phillies fan. Like, I'll just never forget that swing for as long as I live.
When do we get to? When's your book come? When do we get to promote the book?
Well, I texted you guys that Greedy and I have co-authored this book entitled "Got Your Number." It is a book with 100 essays, 1 through 100. We have identified which player, which athlete, which coach, which fill in the blank owns every number in sports, 1 through 100. We announced it a few weeks ago. It's coming out in April. It's an awful long time between the two. But either way, it'll give us a lot of chance for pre-orders, to promote the thing, to do interviews, do all sorts of cool stuff.
When can we start doing pre-orders?
Pre-orders available now on Amazon or wherever you get your books.
If I want something for Christmas, this is what I want for Christmas.
Is that what you, oh, hold on. I'm actually in a room right now. You guys can see me where they sent me this ridiculous poster. Hold on. Just give me 1 second. This is good TV. Okay.
We got to start selling some books for this man.
So like they gave me like this massive poster, like and like you can see my name in small script beneath his. Like this thing is 3 feet tall. So I don't know. My wife probably won't let me hang this in the nursery, but maybe I can find a different place in the man cave. Yes, but yes, New York Times bestselling author and ESPN personality Mike Greenberg with Paul Hembekides. So like I always tell people, if you want to make it in this industry, Just be an average researcher, have some famous person give you a nickname, and you'll be all set.
So I want to show you from one poster to another.
Wow. I love that for you.
This is what we had in the seats during the COVID when we couldn't have people in the stands, so they put all of our pictures in the seats.
Those were the days.
So seriously, put it out there so our fans can start buying.
So you can go to my Twitter feed at Paul Hembo, and at the top of it, I have pasted a link to the Disney Books site. I can tell you, like, no matter what sport is your favorite, if you're a baseball fan, obviously you're listening to the show because you're a baseball fan. There are dozens of baseball essays that you are going to love, especially if you're an old-timey fan of the sport who goes back years and years and years, who loves the numbers, who loves the records, who sort of loves these debates. You're going to love it. Like, you're absolutely going to love what we came up with. Now, obviously, some of our decisions will have to be controversial. There are many great athletes that were number 32 and 34 and 21 and 7 and any number of numbers, and that's part of the fun. But there's a lot of really, really good baseball essays that I'm really proud of in that book. That's for sure.
So you're going to appreciate this. When I was a young man, I got my handicap in golf. I was down to a 6, and I was starting to. I was a 70s player, playing from the back tips wherever I played. I could go out. I was going to be in a range. I was swinging it, and then my kids were born, and I just literally stopped playing golf. And a lot of people couldn't understand it. You now, a father of twins, where you go from 0 kids to 2 kids. People just don't like you said, you got to go to one Phillies playoff game and you're like, I'm good. People don't understand 2 kids at one time, 2 babies at one time. It's always diapers and it's feeding and it's diapers. People don't understand how your life just so dramatically changes.
Golf, like the idea of me playing golf right now is insane. Like, I have forgotten to drink water. I have never in my life forgotten to eat. I have forgotten on multiple occasions that I'm hungry. Like, you can't think about golf. Like, I would love for that to. I'll love to cross that bridge. I'm guessing that'll be something like 18 years from now. It's to me like a vacation is if I'm allowed to go outside and mow the grass like I did yesterday. I took an hour, mowed the lawn, did some leaf work, like the general Jersey stuff over here. Like, that was considered a vacation for me. So the idea of playing golf is something on the back burner for sure.
Well, the number one thing, and you'll love it. I got a picture somewhere of one of my twin girls. She had to be like 3 years old. She can barely pick it up. I just smoked dinosaur beef ribs, and the rib was way bigger than her head, and she's like trying to bite it. Yeah, my kids have been eating barbecue since they were born, Himbo. Start them early. They need to know the Traeger lifestyle from the very beginning.
Yeah, no, we're gonna have to get the girls one of the most portable ones that you can do in the dorm room, because it's gonna be a way of life. Like, this is how it's gonna be. There's going the first thing that they're allowed to eat. Well, I mean, I'm gonna be like the bad dad that gives their when my wife's away, like at the grocery store, we're doing something, like they're gonna be eating like pork, ribs, brisket, like when they're 3. They're gonna be salted out of their minds. But look, I mean, this is what I love. This is what you're gonna love too. Darn it.
Yeah, damn it. This is how it works. Congratulations on the kids. Congratulations on the book. Good luck to your Phillies. And hopefully we're doing this soon and we're talking World Series in Philadelphia.
I love it, man. Astros is 4.
Hey, we're going to sell some books for you. Trust me.
You're a good man.
Take care. Hey, when's the other book coming out with all the top 100 or whatever it is?
That information I don't have yet. But that information I will have fairly soon. So stay tuned.
Be well, my friend.
Peace.
The great Paul Hembekides, better known as Hembo. How about New York hater, the man who, well, he doesn't live in New York anymore because he and his wife had to start a family. So kind of like, I never got it anyway. I never wanted to live it. I worked in San Francisco for, how many years I worked there? I probably 20-something years I worked in San Francisco, 24, 25 years. Never wanted to move there, right? I moved to San Jose to go to San Jose State, and I've lived here ever since. And I rather commute. I was never going to live in the city. But I know, like, buddies of mine met somebody in the city. They got married, lived in the city for a couple of years, and then they moved out. There's a few people like that. But in New York, it's a whole different thing. Like Manhattan, there's, the amount of people that are in New York. Now, Manhattan, there's not as many people that actually live on the island as you think. Did you know this?
I've never been to New York City, so no.
Never been to New York City?
No, I've been to New York, but never New York City. My parents aren't big touristy people, so we went to like northern New York. My dad's a weirdo.
You went to like Syracuse, New York?
No, it was more like Rochester, I want to say,
you went
somewhere up
all
there.
right. Well, there's only like I think at any given time there's only around 1 million people that live. But like during the day, there'll be like 30 million people there working. But the amount of people actually live on the island, it's like 1 million, right? So what a lot of people do, like Hembo, is once you want to get married and have a family, you have to move out to one of the boroughs, or you move to New Jersey, which he did. But for a man who works in New York and works for ESPN and does what? The podcast and does everything out of New York. The kid from Philly holding his guns and taking shots at the greatness that is the New York Yankees is absolutely fabulous. And the minute they lose, you still have my prediction, right?
Yeah, I still have it.
And you still have the date?
Yeah, it's saved in my files.
The Astros have won 5 straight postseason. Or they have 5 straight postseason wins by 2 runs or fewer, tied with the longest set streak of the 99 Braves. The Astros have managed to win each of their 5 postseason games despite going 4 for 32 with runners in scoring position. That's a 125 average. 16 of their 20 postseason runs have come via the home run. How about the Yankees? The Yankees have struck out 30 of 70 plate appearances. I want you to think about that. You come to the plate as a New York Yankee. 70 of them have come to the plate. 30 of them have struck out. Do you know what that percentage is? 30, 70. 30 is 40.
Yeah, it's not 50, but it's a little on like 40.
42.9% of the time they strike out.
Yeah, it's not good.
They don't put the ball in play.
Have you heard this one?
They don't even have a chance. They don't even have a chance for a ground out. They don't even have a chance for an error. When you don't put the ball in play, all the freakish things that happen in baseball, especially in the postseason, can't happen. I mean, if you put the ball in play, an infielder can't pick it up and throw it into the stands. He can't throw it into the dugout. He can't throw it down the line. Hell, a first baseman can just flat out drop it. You hit a little squibber, a little Texas leaguer out between the right fielder, second base, first base, and it drops. You break your bat. I mean, there's all these different things you can do when you you can hit a ground ball up the middle and it hits second base and pops up and goes somewhere else. There's all these things that can happen if you just put the ball in play. Basically, half the time they strike out. It's unbelievable.
Here's this one, too. I don't know if you saw this. They've been held to 6 hits or less in 9 straight games dating back to the regular season. This is the Yankees, a team that's supposed to be built on power and guys that can hit. 6 hits in 9 straight games going back to the regular season. That's not good. And you're struggling versus Houston, and Houston's been – they're not hitting the ball well either. Their team batting average is like 220-something in this series. But they're up 2-0 in the series. Because why? Because
they pitch.
They pitched. Oh, man. Framber Valdez was great yesterday.
How many innings did he go?
7.
Oh, you said you didn't like starting pitchers that went deep.
You know how many times that's happened already this postseason? Where I have
a lot.
That is the 11th time this postseason a starter has gone 7 or more innings. There were 4 of those last postseason. This is the most. The last time a guy went 11 or more times 7 innings was back in 2019. That's happened 17 times.
That's why. And I want to keep seeing this happen, because then that allows us to go to spring training and say, hey, look at all the teams in the postseason actually had their guys going at least 6 or more. As the Oakland A's are for the first time ever in our history, did not throw a complete game. Like you have to get innings from your starting pitchers. You have to. There's 4,300 and something outs in a season.
Was it 4,394? I was going to guess.
All right. Well, obviously that's not counting extra inning games, which are going to be back without the ghost runner. Are we really going to do that?
Well, there's a lot of things we need to figure out how the rules change for next year work for the postseason.
4,374 outs. 4,374 outs. How are you going to get those? Are you going to get almost half, 2,187 from bullpens? It's not possible. Look how much better a team is. Look how more confident they are. Because this is not what the Dodgers are. The Dodgers were basically always seemed like they're in panic mode with their starters, and then they had to turn over their bullpen, and then you got half the game, you got to go through a bunch of guys. I don't know how their numbers. I would love to see. I would love for someone to present the data that says this works. And I called Cody yesterday because our guy CJ Nikowski was on Loud Outs on Sirius XM, and I thought, they started going through batting average against a pitcher the third time through the order. And I said, hey, wait a minute. You guys all said batting average doesn't matter, right? Aren't all these teams, haven't everybody come out and said, our own Darren Bush 2 seasons ago said, we really don't look at batting average. Well, if batting average doesn't matter, then why do we keep getting it thrown down our throat about batting average for a starting pitcher third time through an order? Why does batting average not matter for hitters, but now it matters for pitchers, which I said to Cody, we're in a game of math. Everything is about numbers and math. So if a pitcher, a third time through the order, gives up 1 hit, doesn't mean he gives up a run, gives up 1 hit. Now remember, there's 9 guys in the order, correct?
Correct.
Third time through the order is 9 outs. So if I'm going through that 9 outs and give up just 2 hits, and even though I didn't give up a run, you could still say that they're hitting 300 off me. It's a game of math, right?
Yeah.
So think about that. You're going through the order a third time. That means 9 outs. I could give up 1 or 2 hits, and since I only play once every 5 days, I don't have huge numbers, which now means 1 or 2 hits dramatically shoot up the batting average. They don't tell. Ron Darling's been all over this in this playoffs, by the way, especially with guys. Well, Bob, in this inning, they hit 3 again. Okay, but what does that mean? What does that really mean? Is that telling us the story?
No. Like, here's an example. Luis Severino, who pitched for the Yankees last night, he got pulled early. Framber Valdez won 7. Third time through the batting, or third plate appearance through the batting order in his career, he's allowing a 242 batting average. So why didn't he get to go longer in the game? I know he's coming off injury and all this stuff, but why not leave him in?
What are the runs he's given up?
He gave up in his career after facing a team the third plate appearance in. He's given up 71 runs. He gave up more runs the second time through and gave up more runs the first time through.
This is what they don't tell you. Statistics lie and liars use statistics. You've heard that before, correct?
Yeah, you tell me that all the time.
They lie to us. They manipulate numbers to make themselves sound right, these front offices. They'll be like, can't do it. Can't have the guy. Look at the batting average. Luis Severino gives up less runs third time through the order than second time through the order. It's just like I'm having a hard time understanding this infatuation with what the batting average is for pitchers for when they go through which time through the lineup.
Here's one.
But do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're going to tell me all the time that batting average doesn't matter, that batting average, home runs, RBIs, those are old and they're archaic. So you're discrediting batting averages for actually hitters, and now you're penalizing pitchers because of this batting average. So you use batting average when you want, when you don't want. Basically, you're talking out both sides of your mouth. And now all we need to do is go, really, does it matter what the batting average is? Isn't the only thing that matters for a pitcher is if he gives up runs or not? Yeah, last time I checked, that's the only thing that matters. Whether you strike guys out, don't strike guys out, pitch to weak contact, hard contact, walks, whatever it is. Did somebody touch home plate? Whatever the method is to your madness, did people touch home plate off of you? And that's what they're not telling us. They're just going, this guy's got to go out because they hit 313 off him third time through the order. So if he gives up a hit or two in those 9 outs third time, that's going to shoot up the batting average big. That doesn't mean that a run came across.
So here's an example. I looked at Framber Valdez, who won 7 innings last night. 2 unearned runs, although it was his error for the runs to score. Third time through the order in 2022. Framber Valdez was awesome this year. He might finish in the top 3 in AL Cy Young behind Verlander and probably Dylan Cease. Third time through the order, his batting average allowed was 282. Well, how come Dusty left him in 7 innings?
Because he's a bad manager.
Yeah. So Dusty,
he's old school. He doesn't.
He's he has, I think, 4th or 5th most all-time wins in the postseason. Why didn't you pull your starter? If it's because that's the highest batting average he's allowed anywhere through first, second, third, or even a 4th time through plate appearances, where he's actually 4th time through plate appearances. You know what the batting average he's allowing is? 229 when he faces a team that many times.
Managerial wins in the postseason. The list technically is not fair. I know that's a big thing for certain people. It's not fair. It's not fair that guy didn't get a win. It's not fair. I hear about fair all the time from the I need to get a trophy for everybody generation. So I'm gonna let it so you don't get hurt. I'm gonna just tell you now this list is not fair. Okay. Most managerial wins in postseason history. Joe Torre.
Nice little career.
Once again, he had expanded playoffs. Not fair.
Yeah, well, his team
Tony La Russa, though. Well, he's same thing. They're all expanded. Tony. So it goes Torre, La Russa, Bobby Cox, Dusty Baker, Dave Roberts, Bruce Bochy, who we have to get into the breaking news today, Jim Leland, and Terry Francona.
Smoking Jim.
He
won a lot of games with the Pirates and Marlins.
When you only had NLCS. You didn't.
Well, that was with the Pirates, yeah.
Yeah.
Then with the Marlins, they had the wild card.
But yeah, Smoking Jim's a lot of the old school way. Now you have all the old school managers. They only had the World Series, or then they only had the LCS and the World Series. All these guys had wild card.
Yeah, especially Torre. I mean, Torre was the guy that got a lot of his wins with the Yankees after '95.
And La Russa got a ton of wins with the A's in kind of the old system, but then went to St. Louis.
Got a lot of wins. After.
Bobby Cox just won every year.
Yeah. Well, he's in the postseason 14 straight years.
The breaking news today, as much as we want to talk about baseball, talking about the playoffs tonight, the breaking news is Bruce Bochy's back. And I know I said I thought it'd just be an interview. I thought somewhere like Toronto would be the place to go. They re-signed Snyder, right?
Yeah, dropped the interim tag. Now he's the manager. I think it's a 3-year deal. They were pretty good with him. I think they went 48-26.
Yeah, he also got lost both games, playoffs at home.
You also blew an 8-1 lead in game 2.
You have all this talent. Why would – to me, that just reeks of we got a guy who's going to do as a front office exactly what we want. That just reeks of that, but whatever. Bochy back. Texas Rangers. In our division. Interesting. You know what that does? That brings instant credibility to the Texas Rangers. And if they have the money to spend, because that was the thing. They kept telling us that don't worry, the Corey Seager, the Marcus Semien, don't worry. That's just the start of what we're going to do here. Now, little did we know that the manager and the president of baseball operations would be fired after that. We're talking about the Ranger people who would come see us here on A's Cast Live on the field at the Coliseum. They said everybody understood, ownership understood that this was just the start of things. Well, they couldn't have been more wrong. Because they fired their manager and president of baseball operations. I mean, John Daniels had been there forever. He'd been there since he was 24 years old, for God's sakes. So they dumped. They were angry, ownership, and they dumped these guys. Bringing Bruce Bochy in, you got Chris Young, former pitcher, former Princeton basketball player, 6'10", who pitched for Bochy back in the day. You got Bruce Bochy coming in, and to me, that brings you instant credibility. Why? Well, you're bringing in a guy who has the 3 rings, and you're bringing in a guy that has done nothing but win in his career. In San Diego, it was either he had a really good team or a bad team. And the good teams that he had, they won. The bad teams, they stunk. I mean, what can you do? But now Texas becomes a whole different animal. They got money. It's a state with no state taxes.
New ballpark.
It's a state where your money goes a lot
further.
I don't think ballpark has anything to do with it.
Well, I'm saying they're playing at a new ballpark. That helps.
Really? I don't think. They're all nice ballparks now.
I don't know. It has
Tampa.
It has a dome. It has a roof on it, so that helps.
The ballpark is not what happens is it's a place like we learned with Marcus Semien. You can buy a huge plot of land. You can have space. You can live in all these out neighborhoods outside of Arlington and outside of Dallas. And you got no state taxes. You're going to make more. Now you get charged by the tax rate of where you play. But what happens is when you play 81 games in Texas versus 81 games in California, plus, you talk about we come back and we play in the Bay Bridge series. Well, they'll play still in Texas. I mean, you just make a lot more money playing in Texas or Florida or Arizona. Certain states, you just make way more money than others. It's just a reality. And now you add Bruce Bochy to that. And the retractable roof, I say, would probably be the biggest sell more than just the ballpark, because all the ballparks are nice. When you've traveled around, I've been to most of the ballparks. They're all nice.
I've been to this ballpark. It is very nice. And the roof is great.
But, they're all, unless you're like the old Wrigley, Fenway, Dodger Stadium, Oakland, and Tampa, they're all nice.
LA, too. Angels Stadium. Not a big fan. Dodger Stadium's nice.
What's wrong with Angel Stadium?
Compared to Dodger Stadium, I like Dodger Stadium more.
Okay, but you can't go on it by what you like as a fan in the stands. You mentioned it as a player.
I don't know if people are players really going to play Angel Stadium
because it's beautiful weather every single day, and
you are close to Disneyland if you have kids.
You're next to the beach.
Yeah, that helps.
You're living in Orange County.
Yeah,
I think
helps.
lifestyle. I think wives, lifestyle, weather. I think Orange County's not there. There's a reason why you offer the money. Guys will sign in Orange County. Guys will sign in LA. Guys will sign in San Diego. Because you know why? It's pretty nice. You know how many rain delays you're dealing with?
Yeah, not many. I think it's been
many.
I think it's been a
but
long
when
time
we're
for the
talking
Angels.
stadium, there's nothing wrong with the big A from a standpoint from the players. Do they need a new stadium? Yes. Dodger Stadium, guys have always loved playing at Dodger Stadium. Petco's nice. They're all nice.
And then plus they keep renovating Dodger Stadium.
The only places they're going to come to, they're going to come to Oakland. They're going to come to Tampa, and they're going to be like, this sucks. Fenway sucks for players. Chicago White Sox, not White Sox. Wrigley sucks for players. They've tried to redo the clubhouses as much as possible, but for the right price, nobody cares. But I think, the retractable roof doesn't hurt because, you're going to play 81 games. But Bochy going there for the right price, that's not good for us. And for Bochy to re-sign and to get back into baseball, he had to hear what he wanted to hear. Now, I don't know if we've heard, has he spoken yet?
I don't think so. Let me see when they're supposed to see if they. I was trying to see earlier if they were going to announce when he's going to be introduced.
Because I got to think, Bochy had to hear. He had to hear the right pitch for him to sign on at his age. What is he, 68?
67, I think.
For Bruce Bochy to leave his comfort zone, living down in San Diego, playing golf and playing guitar and drinking whiskey with Tim Flannery, you had to sell him because he doesn't want to go into rebuild mode. He doesn't want to not win. Bruce Bochy wants to win. He wants to win championships. That's the only reason he would come back. So he must believe. I don't know what they got in their system.
They got a couple guys, a couple pitchers. They got Jack Leiter, Al Leiter's son. They got Kumar Rocker.
Got the Vandy guys.
They got those guys. They have a couple of hitters in their system that are supposed to be pretty good. They called a couple of those guys up. Josh Jung played up this year. You've been hearing for years. They've been building a farm system for the future.
They have to sell Bochy that they've got money for free agency and that they're going to go hard after pitching. And now you don't have to worry about the pitching being killed in basically the first half of the season because of the heat, because you're now indoors and it's more a pitcher's ballpark. So pitching will play. But whatever he heard from Chris Young, the sales pitch, Bochy had to buy and had to believe it's going to work. Because there's no way he's signing on just for money and to go get his brains beat in Texas. There's no way.
This stat from this article on MLB.com about Bochy is telling about the Rangers. Now they went to the World Series back-to-back years with Wash. He's the first Texas manager to assume the role of a previous managerial experience since the team hired Buck Showalter on October 11th, 2002. It's been 20 years since they hired a guy that had managerial experience prior to becoming the manager of the Rangers. That's pretty. I mean, you couldn't find a guy that you liked that had a previous experience besides Buck Showalter in the last.
Well, it's major league managerial experience.
Yeah, I mean, you could be a minor league manager. Yeah, for sure.
Now, which is, a lot of these guys have managed before, so I don't think that's that big of a deal. Well, you just hired Mark Kotze. You had
Bob Melvin before that. He had managerial experience.
You just had Steve Kerr get hired. And before that, you had Mark Jackson. You had back-to-back guys who'd never even been a head coach.
Kerr was a general manager.
Never, ever, ever been a head coach. Not at any level. Steve Kerr hadn't coached at all. Had Steve Kerr ever been on someone's staff?
Not that I know of, no.
Are we complaining about Steve Kerr?
He's done a nice job. He's won, 4 titles?
So, I don't know, though. I mean, I have to think. When we head to the winter meetings in San Diego in December, one of the teams that we're really going to be having to look at is the Texas Rangers. Are they going to be major players? Who are the top arms on the free agent market?
Kershaw will be one, and he's from Texas.
No, I don't want Kershaw. Really? Old man Kershaw, that's the best?
Well, Verlander.
Verlander?
No, he resigned. Remember, he resigned a deal.
Did he?
Bassett is going to be one. DeGrom might opt out. So there's another guy. I think Syndergaard's a free agent. Charlie Morton.
So I can overpay for DeGrom to get 5-6 innings every 5 days?
Well, team's going to give him that.
Thanks.
Let's see what they have the top free agents.
Give me the top. I want. If you're selling me Kershaw, if you're selling me that my top free agents pitching wise,
DeGrom's the number 1 free agent pitcher according to this list.
DeGrom.
But Verlander has he signed a deal. I thought it was a 2-year deal. Maybe he has an opt out. That's why. Carlos Rodon, if he opts out, will be a guy.
Yeah, Verlander can leave his contract after this year.
I think he stays in Houston, but that's just me.
Maybe he wants to go north.
Rodon will be a guy. Let's see. Who else is on it? He's a reliever. Kershaw, there's Kershaw in there. Bassett.
Kershaw's got so much tread on those tires.
Severino.
I'd take Severino. How old is he?
28, I think.
I'd take Severino in a second.
Syndergaard, Wainwright. He's gonna if he.
Can you imagine getting a guy who's pitched in the pressure cooker of New York and taking him in Texas in his prime?
Nathan Eovaldi from the same high school as Nolan Ryan. I mean, he's not a bad pitcher.
What, 3 Tommy John surgeries later?
He had a decent year for the Red Sox.
You're
Manaea. Yeah, we're getting towards the bottom of the starting pitching market.
I don't know what they sold Bochy, but looks like they're going to go out, right? I mean, wouldn't you agree? They had to.
Would you take Tyler Anderson? He had a nice year.
I take everybody for the right price. Would you agree that there had to be a really good sales job of what they're going to do this upcoming year to get him to take that job?
Oh, yeah. I mean, are they going to spend money? Are they going to promote these guys in the minors like Rocker and Jack Leiter to be on the team? I don't know. They were both pitching at AA, or Rocker's pitching at AA, and he wasn't doing too well.
Well, at some point you got to start. I mean, you got that new ballpark that you want to take advantage of the new ballpark, other than saying you just have a new ballpark. You want to win in that new ballpark. And it sucked for the Rangers because COVID hit. They had the ballpark, couldn't have fans in it. They ended up hosting the World Series. It was just a really horrible situation.
5 of their top 10 prospects, the Rangers, according to MLB.com, are pitchers. Rocker and Leiter are up there. Brock Porter. Who else am I forgetting? Cole Winn also.
So Bochy, his record in San Diego was .951 to .975. His record in San Francisco was 1,052 to 1,054. It was 2 games under 5. He's under 500 for his career as a manager.
Yeah, true. But he has 2003 wins or something like that. Is how many career wins he has.
But Chris Woodward, gone. John Daniels, gone. And the Bruce Bochy era has changed. Look at the commitments. The commitments they made last offseason. Corey Seager, 10 years, $325 million. Marcus Semien, 7 years, $175 million. John Gray, $56 million for 4 years. Martin Perez, let's not forget about him, who had a really nice year.
Nice year. This just came out according to NBC Sports Chicago. John Heyman had a report earlier that Ron Washington, I think, was going to interview, or one of the guys they want to interview for the job. NBC Sports Chicago. Ozzie Guillen is in discussions to return to the team he managed to the 2005 World Series. Ozzie Guillen is who you're going to bring back to manage the White Sox. That's who you want.
Coming up next, something that I learned from watching The Last Dance, and this is perfect. Last Dance, I know a lot of you watched it during COVID. I didn't. I recently stayed up late at night and just watched it, and I finished it probably a couple weeks ago, and I want to talk about this. This will be a perfect time. There's something that I learned that you can see in baseball today from Last Dance. Kind of started with Last Dance. And when you think about ownership and you think about Jerry Reinsdorf, all that's coming up next right here on A's Cast Live.
Secure your seats for our 1973 team reunion celebration on Sunday, April 16th with our 73 flash sale presented by Budweiser.
The Oakland A's have won their second consecutive World Series championship.
From October 21st to the 25th, tickets will be available at 1973 regular season prices for $5.50. Don't miss out. Visit athletics.com/flash sale today. That's athletics.com/flash sale.
The Eno Sarris Show is sponsored by Fieldwork Brewing Company. With 8 taproom locations in Northern California, Fieldwork brings you fresh craft beer direct from the source. Fieldwork will also ship beer direct to your door if you live in California. Visit fieldworkbrewing.com.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
The
The general manager of the Green and Gold, David Force, stopped by A's Cast Live and discussed the growth of Seth Brown in 2022.
From where he came a couple of years ago, and I remember having conversations about whether we thought he might end up going to Asia to play and not get a chance to establish himself here. He really took a step forward on the field. You saw it in the power, you saw it in his versatility, playing first base and outfield. And then, we really saw it in the clubhouse. I think if you ask Kotz right now, the guys coming back, who are the guys that set the tone in there? And that's not always the most vocal guy or sort of the most rah-rah, but the guys who work hard, who can sort of silently lead other guys. Seth has to be at the top of that list. And I don't think anybody would have said that a year or two ago. So it's been fun to watch where he got to at the end of the season.
To listen to the full interview and much more, go to athletics.com/A'sCast.
This is Chris Townsend for the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. Great news! Our indoor dining is back, along with our beautiful patio dining. Come taste our world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 83 years. The Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek has one of the most dynamic menus, plus a full bar. Pot pies, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget, we still do takeout and delivery. For all the information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
The Oakland Athletics begin spring training on February 25th. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Buy your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your Green and Gold take on the Giants, Dodgers, Padres, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium.
And Tony, it's a deep drive to right in the corner. Gritchick going back. He'll turn and watch it fly.
Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring.
Humanity has accomplished a whole lot so far. We created penicillin, the automobile, and the internet, not to mention drones, duct tape, and the hot dog. It's all thanks to the power of human connections. And Ring Central's here to make that even easier, more seamlessly and securely, on a platform built to grow your business. Say hello to a whole new way to say hello. Visit ringcentral.com and say hello to possibilities. Ring Central. Message, video, phone, together.
Two-time All-Star and World Series champion Stephen Vogt joined Towney on A's Cast Live to explain why Oakland is so special to him.
This is home. It always has been, always will be. We've loved everywhere we've played, right? I mean, that's one of the things that I've learned throughout my life and career and been told by mentors is be present. Wherever you go, wherever you're doing, whoever you're with, be 100% present with them and in that moment. And I've tried to do that in every aspect of my life and in every season of my life. But when I think about my baseball playing career in the major leagues, the first thing that pops into my head is the Oakland A's. And the 13 playoff run, the 14 wild card game, the All-Star games, and, coming back this year for this final season and just enjoying being back in Oakland, being in the Coliseum, getting to kind of put a stamp on those relationships that were formed the first 5 seasons I was here. And I couldn't have asked for a better finish on a personal level than to come back to Oakland and be with the people that helped mold me into who I am as a baseball player and as a man.
To listen to the full interview and much more, go to athletics.com/A'sCast.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is a national brand with family-owned prices and service. You can shop at one of their Barrie locations, and all stores are sanitized and safe, or you can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and Gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
A's Cast Live continues from the town. Here's Chris Townsend.
All right, we got the Hall of Famer Rollie Fingers going to be joining us coming up here at 2:30. Lot to get into with Rollie. What else do we have going on? Oh, Eno Sarris will be here at 3. And Dave Feldman now at 3:30. We've got a special announcement. I'm waiting to hear. We're going to have a World Series party, Game 1. We have the location. I just can't give it out yet. So you're going to have to get your traveling shoes on because we're going to be heading on the road.
We're like nomads right now.
We're going to be on the road, Game 1 of the World Series. There will be drinks. There will be prizes. We guarantee for everybody. We are going to make it happen. All righty. Rollie Fingers at 2:30. So watching The Last Dance, it made me think about what's going on in baseball today. And it really was the start, we just didn't know, of what was to come. And what made me trigger that was the Jose Guillen with Jerry Reinsdorf. Jerry Reinsdorf has been the king of really bad decisions as an owner. Bringing back Tony La Russa, bad decision. Thinking about bringing back Ozzie Guillen, bad idea. Letting Phil Jackson and breaking up his dynasty, really bad idea. How many championships have the Bulls won since?
Let me check. That'd be 0.
How many finals appearances have they had?
That'd be 0.
Okay. Where I think you can look, and when you go back to Last Dance, and you might be like, why the hell are you bringing it up? I'll there's a good reason why. And I've been waiting to make this point, and I've been trying to tell Cody to remind me, and it just hit me. Watching that, you should have noticed something. You should have noticed the power of Jerry Krause. And that was the start of really what we have today. What do we have today? We have today that the stars of the show now want to be front office people. They want to be looked at as the reason why teams win championships. All you needed to do was either live during that time, and you know this, or you saw it during The Last Dance. Jerry Krause wanted credit. Yes, Michael Jordan's great, but Jerry Krause made unbelievable moves. He made great moves for the first 3 championships and the second 3 championships. He was a savvy general manager. And yeah, they could make fun of him, call him short, call him fat, do all of that, be disrespectful, because that's what they were as players. And everybody wants to be, you're all jock sniffers, and everything's about Jordan. One guy just doesn't win. And Jerry Krause signed guys to great contracts. Look how cheap he had Scottie Pippen for, which was obviously a big deal. Throughout The Last Dance, you got to see, because I think a lot of you just didn't live it and you didn't know it and you had never seen it. But yeah, that was always a big deal. Signing Dennis Rodman was a big deal. Always having these talented big men was always a big deal. Going from John Paxson to Steve Kerr. Well, who made all these decisions?
Jerry Krause.
Jerry Krause. Jerry Krause is a general manager with 6 rings. And at the very end, what you see now in baseball, who wants the credit in baseball? Well, you're always going to have to give it to the players, but what have they done with the head coach in baseball, who we call a manager? They've tried to act like he's not the main player anymore. Look what Jerry Krause did. Jerry Krause basically said, hey, man, this is your last year. I mean, Phil Jackson's one of the most accomplished coaches in American sports history, and this guy basically told him, this is your last year. Even though Reinsdorf at the end says, I told him he could come back. Thanks, Jerry. Jerry, you wait for the whole thing to be over for then to tell Phil he can come back. By that point, Phil was, F you, I'm out of here. So what you saw, this was going on in the 80s and the 90s. Where you clearly see front office wanting credit for what's going on. All these years, front offices stayed in the back. And they gave all the credit to the manager. They gave all the credit to the players. That's what they did. Now, completely different story. Front offices want to be the smartest guy. Front offices want to dictate all the action. They want to control it. It's the closest thing to actually playing the game that you have. You control every moment of it. Now, this is far different from The Last Dance because they didn't have that. A guy like Jerry Krause didn't have that kind of control back then. They do now in the NBA. They definitely do in Major League Baseball is scripting out their entire game now. It's ridiculous. And they would tell you you're an idiot for not agreeing with them. The guy who was the smartest guy in the room was Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh would script out the first X amount of plays of a game. Why would he do that? Well, it was pretty simple. He would script it out, and you run these different plays, not only to see what's working right out of the gate for your team, but now you call these different plays, you get to see how the other team lines up as a defense against you. First couple drives, you get to know what are they trying to do against you, so then that you can prepare the rest of the game. It's a chess match. Bill Walsh didn't script out the entire game. Why? Because the game changes. Things happen in the game that change. But I'll script it early just to see what they're doing. How do they line up? Well, if we have Jerry Rice over here, or we have Jerry Rice over there, or we put Jerry Rice over here and we send a guy in motion going that way, we're now going to see how the defense reacts to all that, and then we can plan it out for the rest of the game. Baseball now wants to control everything. They want to control the signings. They can want to control every bit of the organization. They want to control the big league level. They want to control who plays, when they play, how they play. They want to control everything. They want the credit. They want to be stars. They want to, back in the day, let's be honest, back in the day, front office people never had shows. You never heard from them. You think there were like the general manager shows in the 70s, even in the 80s? I never heard of one. Most people didn't even know who their general manager was. Billy Beane, with allowing Moneyball to happen, the book and the movie, all the guys that are in the game now, they saw that and went, that's who I want to be. I want to be a star front office guy. Do you think if you're somebody who's in data that you're ever going to be a celebrity? Do you think that? Do you think if you're a data scientist, if you're an engineer, if you're one of the top engineers for, let's just say, Apple literally is not too far from where we are right now. One of the most successful companies in the world. Google's over in Mountain View, not too far from here. Some of the most successful companies in the world are not far from where we are right now, with some of the smartest people in the world. They walk into a restaurant, nobody knows who they are. Nobody cares. They're just some random dude or female, dudette. Nobody knows who they are. But all these guys and gals, they saw Moneyball. They saw this Billy Beane. They saw this character. How many of them have said, I saw the movie and I knew that's what I wanted to do? Why? Because Billy's somebody. He's somebody. He's Brad Pitt. He's good looking. Everybody wants to be him. So if you're a guy that grew up, you've never played baseball, you can't play, you've got no athletic ability, but you know data and you know numbers, where can you be a star? You can't be a star at Google, but you can be a star for the Cleveland Indians if you're the general manager and you win. You can be a starter. Who's Chaim Bloom? If Chaim Bloom, this genius that's running the Red Sox, went to work for Oracle, would any of you know who he is? Would he walk through the convention center at San Diego for the winter meetings and have everybody kissing his ass if he worked for Intel? No. But this dork running the Boston Red Sox is now some baseball celebrity. And everywhere in New England, everybody knows who he is. You go around right now, and I can talk about this because this is not how our front office is built. This is not who David Force is. This is not who Billy Beane is. They know what I'm talking about. You think Andrew Friedman is someone anybody would know who the hell he is if he didn't run the Dodgers or care? Would anybody care? Would Andrew Friedman get the attention in his life if he didn't run the Dodgers and he ran some other regular company? This has been an opportunity for all of these data I don't even know if they love baseball, but it's a chance for them to be somebody. And I'm not going to harp on somebody who wants to have notoriety, who wants to be known. But with their skill, this is the way. This is the way they can be a player. They can be a pseudo-celebrity. If you really realize, and you went around to all these front offices and looked at all these Ivy League guys and you look at their background, you can go at all the job postings right now for baseball. It's all for data scientists, not people who've ever worked in baseball. Well, this was the start with Jerry Krause. Jerry Krause was really the first executive who was a non-player. Jerry West was an executive at the time, but he was the logo, for God's sakes. This was a short, little man, no talent from a physical standpoint, who was becoming a star because he was winning championships as a front office guy. And he wanted to get rid of Jordan. He had already won 6 titles with him. His stardom was, I want to win and rebuild and win it again without Jordan, because it was about him becoming somebody. And that's what we have in the game of baseball. We should have seen it coming. People didn't know. Can you imagine when you were a little kid, you grew up a Pirates fan?
Correct.
Can you name me one assistant general manager that you remember as a kid?
Assistant general manager?
Assistant general manager.
Hell, I can't remember who I remember Dave Littlefield, but prior to that, I don't remember who any of the general managers were for the Pirates.
No. You know them as you got old. When you were a little kid, you knew who the general manager was?
No.
That's my whole point.
Yeah, no.
These,
even who the manager was.
These guys, I don't even know if they really love baseball, but they have the skill set that baseball's looking for now. So they come in and now they're in the data. They're into, they build the team through the data and through all of that. This is their chance to be somebody. Because with their skill set, they would just be working for some company and they'd be regular schmoes like the rest of us. This is their chance to make good money and to have the lifestyle and to be in pro sports. And when you're a GM, man, everywhere you go, you're the GM of major. There's only 30 jobs. And actually, the assistant GM jobs are pretty damn good, too. Is there anything that I'm saying that doesn't make sense?
No, and you look at the assistant GMs that we have here in Oakland, Dan Feinstein, Billy Owens, they've been here forever.
We're an outlier.
Yeah. But, like, there's guys that run teams, like the Astros assistant GM.
Okay, you're that's not anything that I was talking about.
I know. I was just saying, like,
our guys are all baseball people who got into it. I'm talking about, like, Jerry Krause, who wasn't even a basketball guy when he got brought in.
I'll give you an example. We know him because we interviewed him on our show. Sig Mejdal, who is now the assistant GM of the Orioles, was a engineer, or he worked at NASA, and he was a blackjack dealer while he was in college.
Why did he get into baseball?
Because of Moneyball. He tells the story all the time. He told us.
Yeah. He got into it because he saw this movie and he wants to be somebody.
Jeffrey Luhnow, probably the most disgraced general manager in the history of sports now, was not a baseball guy. He was he worked for a consulting agency, and he got into baseball.
The big consultant who
McKinsey. I think it was McKinsey. Started with an M. It was McKinsey, I'm pretty sure. He worked for them, and then he got into baseball, and now he's out of baseball, and I think he works in, like, soccer or something. But look what he did. I mean, he wasn't a baseball guy. I mean, a lot of these guys aren't. anymore, especially front like GMs.
And they get into baseball because this is their chance to be somebody.
Didn't Farhan work at Google? Like I had a conversation yesterday with a student at San Diego State who's trying to get into the business of broadcasting and sports media. And we're talking, I said, if you look around baseball, a lot of the people that run teams didn't even go to be baseball people. They're engineers or data scientists or rocket scientists. A lot of people anymore, went to school for business and to get into running a baseball team. Just like a lot of people that do broadcasting didn't go to school to be broadcasters.
A lot of people who get into our business, they get into it for the same reason. They want to be somebody. They want to be known. They want to be on TV. They want to be on radio. Regular jobs, you don't get to be that person. I've always said what we do is like ghetto celebrity. but that's where I got from if you're like, well, how did you get Last Dance? That's what the Last Dance brought that back. The Last Dance brought back Jerry Krause. Jerry Krause is Jerry Krause was what all these guys want to be now. They want the credit. Every GM, these guys want the credit. They want to call managers middle management, and they want the credit. They want everybody to say, Dodgers won 111 games because the front office. Dave Roberts, he's just a puppet. We're the smart guys. We're the reason we won. Look at all the PhDs and look at all the science. Look at all the data. We're the reason why the Dodgers won.
What did Jeff Luhnow call his employees when he got in trouble?
Lower
level employees.
And that's what our game is. And it's so funny, like how like MLB Now tries to foster this, and you're like, do you really think it's good that Tampa has basically made Kevin Cash, even though he's won Manager of the Year, which is kind of a joke, that he's just basically middle management? That they script out everything, like every move of the game? It's crazy. Is that what's best for baseball? If it is, so be it. But we don't know because it's kind of still new. And whenever a team flames out like the Dodgers, what's the first thing you do? You have to question, did they outsmart themselves and cost themselves? Like they have all the resources. They have all the ability to get whatever talent they can get. They have it all. And yet they keep falling short, except for 1 year. Why? And they make moves that make you go, why? But they're going to tell you, we followed the data. The data told us to do this, and I mentioned, it's like blackjack players. You read that blackjack book, and the blackjack book tells you never deviate from the system. Always, always, always play the system. And that's what these teams are doing. But I hope it makes sense. I don't know why you went to our guys, the A's guys, but I hope it makes sense that what I'm talking about is all these guys are not baseball people. They get into baseball. They're going to look at you and say, yeah, because I want to be. But it's their chance to take their intelligence and what they do well and for them to actually be somebody, to be recognized, and to be a pseudo-celebrity.
The reason I mentioned our guys is because they're guys who have been here forever who don't want to be in the spotlight. They're
well,
not
then
looking,
you should have said that. Well, you just mentioned our guys.
Well, no, they're not looking for the spotlight. I mean, Billy Owens could be a general manager.
Well, Billy Owens was a player.
Yeah, he was.
He went to
Bellarmine
AAA.
Prep right here in San Jose.
These guys we're talking about, they never played anything at any level. A lot of them probably didn't play high school.
I mean, David Force played college baseball at Harvard.
Actually, David Force told us something that I don't think he had ever told us. I don't even think he played independent ball.
Oh yeah.
So that means he got paid.
So yeah, so he had a baseball career. Like we knew about Harvard already.
Yeah, so he actually got paid to play. That's what our guy. I mean, Billy Bean playing in the major leagues.
That's true.
These guys, all these guys are talking about. They're like Jerry Krause. Jerry Krause was the start of all of this. I think you could go back to the non-ever playing general manager who got big-headed and wanted all the control in the world. Started with probably Jerry Krause.
I want to see what he did after Chicago.
He's dead.
Well, yeah, but. He passed away 5 years ago, but yeah, he was the Bulls until 2003. They were awful after Jordan left. They got good.
What did he do before the Bulls?
Let's see. He replaced Rod Thorne in 1985-86, so that would have been like a year after Jordan was born.
He's a scout.
Krause worked as a baseball scout for the Indians, the A's, Mariners, and White Sox While working for the Mariners, Cross continued to scout part-time for the Lakers. As a White Sox scout, he played a role in the signing of Ozzie Guillen and Kenny Williams.
He was a baseball scout, going nowhere. And then all of a sudden, built the Chicago Bulls. He gets a ton of credit. He's one of the great executives in the history of sports. Jerry Krause, but he wanted the credit. He didn't get any credit because where did all the credit go?
Jordan.
And actually, you watch Last Dance, it went to everybody.
Yeah, but also
everything, even the players feel. Wait, I'm gonna go to break. Don't call Rollie yet. All the players, you could tell in a way, feel like everything went to Jordan. You could totally tell. But that I just wanted to get that out. I wanted to say, you know what we have to, and then Reinsdorf, my God, you bring back Ozzie again. Reinsdorf, for what he has won, 7 titles, 6 with the Bulls, 1 with the White Sox?
Correct. I was going to say real quick, he's the guy that hired Jerry Krause from the White Sox as their owner to the Bulls, who he also owned.
Crazy. Hall of Famer, Rollie Fingers, next, right here on A's Cast Live.
Secure your seats for our 1973 team reunion celebration on Sunday, April 16th with our 73 flash sale presented by Budweiser.
The Oakland A's have won their second consecutive World Series championship.
From October 21st to the 25th, tickets will be available at 1973 regular season prices for $5.50. Don't miss out. Visit athletics.com/flash sale today. That's athletics.com/flash sale.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
The Eno Sarris Show is sponsored by Fieldwork Brewing Company. With 8 taproom locations in Northern California, Fieldwork brings you fresh craft beer direct from the source. Fieldwork will also ship beer direct to your door if you live in California. Visit fieldworkbrewing.com.
Stephen Vogt stopped by A's Cast Live before his final game with the Green and Gold to discuss his relationship with the fans in Oakland.
This fan base means so much to me and my family, and I've gotten to know, half a dozen or a dozen of them on a personal level, and if not more. And they're so special. They're so supportive. They're loyal. I think the only thing I can put my finger on is I'm an average-looking guy that takes the field with energy, emotion, passion, and love for the game, no matter if we're the best team in baseball, the worst team in baseball, if I'm 0 for 32 or if I'm 32 for 32. I take the field with the same energy every single day, and I bring it. And there's nothing on this planet I love more than playing and winning Major League Baseball games. And I've been that way from the time I was a little kid. I've dreamed of playing in the major leagues from the time I was 2 years old, and I get to do it until almost my 38th birthday. And I'm so thankful for that, and I'll never take one day for granted. I'm going to take the field tomorrow with all the energy and passion you've ever seen, and I'm probably going to walk off of it with tears in my eyes, because what this game and what this place in Oakland has given me and my family, the opportunities that it provided, that I was fortunate to take and run with the support of my beautiful wife, Alyssa, our kids, my dad, and my whole family and friends and support system. And most importantly, the fans. You guys gave me energy to play every single time here. And I think that's why. It's green collar baseball. I know we're not supposed to use that hashtag anymore, but it's something that when I saw green collar, I'm like, man, that's me. I'm a punch the clock, get your work in, and take the field, and be blessed and be honored to take the field in the big leagues every single moment you get.
I believe it's Stephen Vogt.
The Oakland Athletics begin spring training on February 25th. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Buy your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Dodgers, Padres, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium.
And Tony, it's a deep drive to right in the corner. Gritchick going back. He'll turn and watch it fly.
Get your tickets at /spring. That's athletics.com/spring.
Streaming from the East Bay, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
Well, before we bring Rollie on, I do want to throw this out there. Secure your seats for our 1973 team reunion celebration on Sunday, April 16th with our 73 flash sale presented by Budweiser. From today, October 21st to October 25th, tickets will be available at the 1973 regular season prices of $5.55. You can get these tickets online at athletics.com/flash sale. That's athletics.com/flash sale. $5.50 for tickets going back to 1973. Anniversary of winning the World Series was today. That's why we're going to have Rollie on. I'll give him a call here in a second, but this is a great
Today
deal.
was the final day of the World Series.
It was. I have. Do you want to play from the game? I'll get a play for you real quick. We'll play. Let's just play the final call. Here's the final call of the 1973 World Series, Game 7 against the Mets.
They play Garrett, even though he's going against the fast-falling left-hander, way around to the right, still to pull the ball. And now the fans realize, instead of this World Series being over, as it should be, but for the error, one swing of the bat could tie it up. Goes back, throws a little looper. Campaneris goes back, says, I got it, that is it. The fans are all over the field. The Oakland A's have won their second consecutive World Series championship. Their first time that's been done since the Yankees of 62 and 63. And for the first time in the last 7 World Series, one league has won 2 in a row, and that is, of course, the American League.
So there you go. On this date today. And we're giving Rollie a call now. So get your tickets, athletics.com/flash sale.
I got a good feeling about some things next year. I mean, when you start looking at the starting rotation, could be interesting. Do we have Rollie? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Rollie Fingers, welcome back to A's Cast Live. He's a 3-time World Series champion, a 7-time All-Star, the American League MVP, and Cy Young Award in 1981, World Series MVP in 74, 4-time Rollades Relief Man of the Year, 3-time MLB save leader, and, of course, in the Baseball Hall of Fame, the A's Hall of Fame, and his number 34 is retired. Rollie, it's always great to have you on the program.
Thank you. It's nice to be.
Today, on this date, is when you guys finally finished the Mets in the World Series in 1973. When you think about that 7-game set, what do you think about?
Well, we were kind of down 3-2 coming back to Oakland. We didn't play real good ball in New York in that series, and we won 1 game and lost 2. But we came back home and we got some great pitching from Catfish and Holtzman, and we won the two ball games here or in Oakland at the time. So that was our second World Championship. So that was fun, but it was a tougher series, I think, because the Mets had a real good pitching staff. They had Tom Seaver, John Matlack, and Jerry Kuzman, and couple tough left-handers and a power pitcher, and we knew we had our hands full against those guys. But I think the one mistake I think that Yogi Berra made was pitching Tom Seaver in Game 6 on 2 days rest. I think he should have given him that extra day and held him back for a Game 7 that might have been a different story.
I mean, to think about doing that, like now we freak out if anyone's thinking about going on 3 days rest. The fact that basically no rest with your star pitcher is just unheard of.
Yeah, well, I think Yogi wanted to end it in Oakland in Game 6, and he just guessed wrong. So I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
When you guys think back, and it's one of the great things when we get you guys together, when you look back, just talk about the mindset, they're coming from Kansas City to Oakland, You first started tasting it in 71. You end up taking down Cincinnati in 72, but then you went back-to-back in 73. What is that mindset now that, hey, we're just not this fluke team who got 1 year. We've won it 2 years in a row.
Yeah, well, we knew we had a good ball. We knew we had a good ball club, and back then, all of us guys came up through the minor leagues together. We had a nucleus of about 13 or 14 guys that we played together for a lot of years in the minor leagues, and we all hit the big leagues right around the same time, 68, 69, and then we played together for 2 or 3 years, and we knew what to expect, and we had some great talent. I mean, we had some guys I think 1 year we had 5 or 6 guys, maybe even 7 guys on the All-Star team, and we just had some great talent. And if Charlie Finley would have kept us together, I think we could have gone on to win maybe 2, maybe 3 more world championships, because we were right in the middle of our prime when we were 28, 29, 30 years old, and we'd already had 3 world championships under our belt, and we were playing good. We had a great pitching staff, solid in the bullpen, home run hitters, RBI guys that drive in RBIs. I mean, we had a good, solid team, and Charlie just let that all get away because he didn't want to pay us, and that was a shame.
One of the things that we never really get into is how you got to the World Series, and the fact that you guys had a lot of legendary battles with the Baltimore Orioles, and they had their Hall of Famers, they had their great players, they had their great manager in 73. You had to get through them, and that wasn't any day at the beach either.
No, it wasn't. They're looking at 2 teams with 2 great pitching staffs. I mean, they had Palmer and Mike Cuellar and Dave McNally, and I think Pat Dobson was there. So they had some great starting pitching, and their offense was always tough with Brooks Robinson, Frank Robinson, Paul Blair, Boog Powell, Andy Etchebarren. I mean, they were one of those kind of teams that you knew they were going to be in the pennant race towards the end of the season. And it just so happened that we ran into those guys twice in 73 and in 74, and we were lucky to take care of both of them.
Well, no disrespect to the Mets, but they weren't even close as good as the Baltimore Orioles were.
No, but they had a pitching staff. Pitching is what it's a short series. Anything can happen. I mean, anything can happen in the short. That's proof right now with the San Diego Padres. I mean, they have one of the worst records, and they go into New York and beat the Mets, and then they play the Dodgers, and they beat the Dodgers, and they got a good pitching staff. They got a great bullpen. I mean, that's what it is today, is bullpen. Most teams want to have that lead by the 5th inning. If they have that lead by the 5th inning, they figure they're going to win with the bullpen, because nowadays you got 6 or 7 guys down in the bullpen on every team that are throwing the ball 95, 96, 97 miles an hour. Back when I was playing, you're lucky if you had one guy like that. So the bullpens have really changed in the past, but the pitching is where it's at. You have a good pitching staff. Whoever goes into the series with the better pitching staff, the one that's more healthy, that's the team that's going to win.
Well, Ray Fosse would always tell us in the 74 World Series, the bullpen was you. You had starters and you.
Yeah, I was the only guy, I think, that came in out of the 10 that year.
I think, it was just the starters and you. That's all you guys needed.
I think we only used four or five pitchers in the whole series. So it's a little different now. You use 4 or 5 pitchers in the whole game, in one game right now. It's a little different.
I know it's actually tough to watch, and I know everybody just calls this old school, but to watch a starting pitcher go 4 innings, 5 innings, and then you have a law firm of relievers who have to come in. That's just tough sledding. But thinking about 73. When I looked at the Mets, when we went back during COVID and we started airing some of these games, what was it like when you're preparing for a 42-year-old Willie Mays?
Well, I grew up idolizing Willie. In fact, when I was a kid, he was my first autograph I got when I was a kid.
Really?
At a Dodger Stadium. And I chased him down in the parking lot at Chavez Ravine at Dodger Stadium when I was about 14, 15 years old. And I asked him for his autograph, and he gave it to me. And then 13 years later, I'm facing him in the World Series, and I'm the last guy to strike him out. The last hit he got in a big league uniform, and his last RBI was off of me.
It was all last hit, last RBI, last K was all you and Willie Mays.
Yep, yeah, in his career.
Wow, that
I told Willie, I said, Willie, and when I went in the Hall of Fame, I told Willie that story, and I said, Willie, it's a good thing you gave me the autograph, or I'd have drilled your ass.
That is awesome. Oh,
but there's no way I'm going to hit Willie.
What is it?
He didn't know that.
I've actually been back to the. I was there in '99 when George Brett, Nolan Ryan, and Robin Yount went in together, and Orlando Cepeda, and just to see there all you guys on the stage, it's just absolutely incredible. And I know you go down to the hotel that's right on the water. Just when you're a baseball Hall of Famer and you go back and you guys get to be around each other, you have the dinners, you have the cocktail parties, you have the ceremonies. Just what is that like to be around the other Hall of Famers when you get around each other one time a year?
It's great. When I first went in, I was more or less a rookie, in '92. When you go into the dinner, I'm looking at these guys. I mean, I collected all their baseball cards when I was a kid. You got Johnny Mize and Yogi Berra, Whitey Ford, Stan Musial, all these guys, Bob Feller, Robin Robert. I mean, all these guys that you collected cards at, and now you're all of a sudden you're in the same room with these guys having dinner. It's a little surreal. I mean, I sat down at my first dinner we had. I sat at the table. It was all pitchers. It was me, Steve Carlton, Don Sutton, or not Don Sutton. He wasn't there. It was me, Steve Carlton, Bob Gibson, Sandy Koufax, and I think there was one other pitcher there. I can't remember who, but that's who I had dinner with the first. And I always grew up being an idol for Sandy Koufax, and I'm just sitting there in awe. And I basically didn't say anything. You don't really say too much. You don't want these guys getting on you. So you wait a couple of years, then you start popping off a little bit. But I didn't say nothing to anybody.
It's just and just think about that where you are in your life, right? Your career's over from a baseball standpoint. It's been 5 years. I mean, you are one of the best pitchers in the history of the game. You've got everything, right? You've got World Series, you got MVP, you got Cy Young, and here you go into that dinner and you feel like a kid again, and you feel like a rookie again when you're one of the most accomplished guys in the history of the game.
Yeah, it was weird, but they would get on me a little bit. They would say, what? Bob Gibson said, you're a relief pitcher. You didn't throw that many innings. And I said, Bob, if you had me in the bullpen, you'd have 30 more wins on your resume.
Yeah.
all of you guys would have. They didn't have relief pitchers back there like that.
We have made the case on this show that you are the greatest relief pitcher of all time. When you look at your volume, the innings, the high leverage innings that you pitched, just kind of teach our younger audience, because they've grown up in this world where there's a ninth inning guy and he only comes in. It's got to be with the lead, maybe tied, going to pitch one inning. You are someone that pitched a lot of innings. You came up a starter. Just kind of educate our younger listeners what the role was for you back in the day coming out of the bullpen.
Well, it all depends on the way the game was going, but usually by the fifth inning, I would start watching what was going on. If we had a one-run lead, it looked like, there was a possibility that I might get in. So I might get up in the 5th or the 6th inning and just start soft tossing a little bit just to get my arm loose and not throw hard or anything. But there were games where I'd come in. See, the biggest thing back then is you were coming into ball games with men on base. These guys don't have to do that nowadays. They always start the inning fresh. But with the way starting pitching was back then, starting pitchers wanted complete games. So they wanted to stay in the game as long as they could. And that's why, Catfish, there were games I'd come in with Catfish pitching, and he'd have the bases loaded and nobody out. He'd want to stay in. And you'd have to fight him to get him off the mound. So, back then you were always coming into games in trouble in the 6th inning. Hope you get a pop up and a double play, get out of the inning, and then finish the game. I mean, I don't know how many 4-inning saves I had. I had no clue. I know one time I went 7 or 8 innings in a game, and didn't get the win. We didn't score any runs in 7 innings. So that was the way it was back then. You had to be ready to come in when you were a closer. There's nobody warming up in the bullpen. When I came in, there was nobody warming up in the bullpen. I was in there for the whole game. It was either the Castle or the outhouse, one of the two. It was going to be. So you were out there the whole game.
Reggie Jackson said when you came in, it was grab your hat, grab your coat. It was time to go home. One of the great lines that Mr. October has said on this program. When you think about the Oakland Athletics and the way they celebrate your guys, and you think about Dave Cavill, our president, and you think about everybody when we bring you guys together, I'm always the one that, does the dog and pony show with the questions with the fans and you guys, and it's just always so special to me. What does it mean to you and to your group of guys that the A's want to continue to celebrate you guys and your greatness?
Oh, I love Dave Fisher. They're great baseball fans, and they realize the history of the A's, and they love having us older generation guys coming back. And we get together just about every year, and we induct 2 or 3 guys from the past into the Oakland A's Hall of Fame, and they're all for it. It's great that they appreciate the alumni, the guys that played back 30, 40 years ago and knew how great we were back then. So they're not only owners and presidents, but they're fans, and so they enjoy seeing us and inviting us back every year. I think it's great.
Well, and just also the joy that the fans have with you guys sharing that moment together. It just seems so special, the relationship that these fans have with the great teams, and then you getting together with really like your brothers. You only get to see these guys so much, so when you guys get together, it's so special. The whole thing's just beautiful.
What's so great about it is, like I said before, we all came up through the minor leagues, and it's not like today where you sign a 3-year contract, you become a free agent, bang, you go off to another team. We played together from 1968 to 1976 together. We had basically the same lineup every year, and we would bring different guys in when a guy got hurt or something. We added Billy North to our lineup. We had Matty Alou one year. We had Mike Epstein. But we always had Rudy in left and Campy at short, Sal Bando at third, and Dick Green at first, Dave Duncan or Ray Fosse, Gene Tennis catching. I mean, we always basically had the same lineup, and that was what was great about that team. We were a family, and we had our fights, but you have fights in any family situation. So, but we got over it. You'd be fighting with some guy that day and be out having dinner with him that night. That's just the way that ball club was. It was fun to play on.
Yeah, you guys were brothers, no doubt about it. And then just how much fun is it with the fans when they get to ask you questions, and they hung on every moment with you guys, and they remember every moment of 73 or 72 or 74.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of guys that come up to me who were, they're about 55 right now. And now, that I go back, well, that means you were probably about 10 or 11 or 15 when we were winning in 72, 3 and 4. And when you grow up with a team and they win and you get to know those players, you're never going to forget them. You're never going to forget their numbers. I guarantee you, ask an old guy who's a big baseball fan in '72, he could tell you the player and what number they wore in their back. I was the same way when I was a kid. I was a big Dodger fan, and I could name all the ball players and their numbers probably right now, even from back in the '60s. When you grow up with a team and that team is winning and they stay together, you remember them. You remember them your whole life.
My favorite thing is looking at Willie Mays. Yeah, you better sign that autograph, or you would have wore one right in your ribs.
Yeah, I don't think I'd hit Willie though.
Hey, let's just end on this. I know it was years ago, but your guys' greatness and what you went on to do in San Diego, and then of course in Milwaukee was just incredible. But your time in Oakland. How much do you ever sit around and still think about the greatness that was the A's and your greatness as an Oakland Athletic?
Oh, it was fun. You always look back, and especially if you win or you get a ring. That's what everybody wants, is that World Series ring. And we had the opportunity to get 3 of them in a row, which doesn't happen very often. But I mean, we had fun together. Going to the ballpark. We'd have some of the Raider players were fans of ours. I was fans of the Raiders. During football season, I would drive down to the ballpark on Sunday during football season. I mean, I wasn't playing, and I just drive into the ballpark because all the parking attendants knew who I was. And I'd just say, hey, I'm going to go down. I'm going to do some working out in the gym and stuff. They let me in. I just walk right out on the field and be on the sidelines for the Raider games on Sunday. I didn't even have to buy a ticket. It was great.
No.
But all of Oakland loved the Raiders and the Oakland A's back in the early '70s. I mean, golly, I loved going to the Raider games. They were fun too.
Well, it is always an honor to have you on the program, and I can't wait this year to celebrate the '73 team. Truly one of the great teams and one of the great runs in the history of baseball. You be well throughout the holidays, and then we'll see you next year when we do this celebration.
Okay, certainly will. Thank you. I enjoyed being on your show, man. It was you're bringing back memories for me. I'll tell you, it was fun.
You're the best, Rollie. You take care.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
And I mean that. You're talking about truly one of the great players all time, where you may not know it, and later in his career, that's when he finally started getting the love. I wasn't going to ask about the 100. I've asked him 100 times about the handlebar mustache. He got paid for it. They all got paid to do the mustache, and kept growing, and then he kept it. Glad that he kept it. But it wasn't until he was with Milwaukee where he was the MVP in 1981, Cy Young Award winner, 1981. I mean, this guy was the World Series MVP in '74. They won 3 straight championships. Only the Yankees have done that before. They've done it multiple times with the A's. That's it. A's and Yankees, the only teams to ever win 3 championships in a row. I mean, we haven't had a back-to-back since what? The 98, 90, 97, 98, no, 98, 99, 2000 Yankees. And before that, the last back-to-back would have been the Toronto Blue Jays.
What was last time we haven't had a National League team do it since the Reds did it in the mid-'70s.
Where were you?
Let's see. I wasn't around. You were like 3. My dad was
75, 76. I was 3 and 4 years old.
Yeah, my dad would have been 15 in '76. I think my mom would have been 11. And I was not even close to being born yet, 12 years away.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, you remember the Big Red Machine? No. Big Red Machine was they were kind of broken up by the time I started going to games. I was 3-4 years old in 75, 76. I don't lie to you folks. You know that. All the years doing the post-game show, all the years doing this show, I don't act like, oh yeah, Big Red Machine. Yeah, I can look on Baseball Reference. I know how great they were. I know how great the A's were in 72, 73, 74. I've interviewed all of these guys, 72, 73, 74, multiple times. I've hosted all the events. I was born in 72.
I went back and watched every game. frame by frame.
Frame by frame, even though you can't even get every game by game. We couldn't even do it, but their greatness is, I mean, Rollie Fingers would come in and pitch 2-3 innings. That's why you look at his numbers. His numbers are more impressive than Mariano Rivera's. Now, you can't take away what Mariano Rivera did in the postseason. He had all that opportunity. He cashed in on it. But he was a ninth inning guy the majority of his career. You just can't compare him. I mean, if you went numbers, if you just went, it's like, but no one wants to do it. And it's kind of like, Hembo today going off on Jeter. If you look at the numbers, Jeter stunk at shortstop.
Yep.
I'm not going to say he stunk. I watched enough Jeter to know he didn't stink.
I think Carlos Correa even said that he wasn't a good defensive shortstop. Was that last year? He brought up, I think Correa said something about Jeter.
But he didn't stink.
I wouldn't say he was great either.
I'd take him.
Oh, yeah. For what
I'd take him for 20 years of throwing out there every day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's one of the most clutch hitters in the history of the postseason.
But, I mean, he doesn't suck. That's where defensive metrics, let's just say defensive metrics aren't perfect. And I don't need the guy to have the greatest range in the world, right? We could win games with Jet Lowry at shortstop. If you hit and field the ball in front of you, I can play you. Now, if you're going to be Marcus Semien and have 32, 33, how many do you have?
It was up there.
If you're going to boot routine ball after routine ball, then we got it. Then we got problems. Right?
Yeah, for sure. Eno's here.
Oh, do we have the great Eno Sarris? What's up, buddy?
How's it going?
How does it look? We got a new camera going now. So we got a fancy new camera. We can zoom in, zoom out.
I like it. And you still got all the bobbleheads. I can see more of them now, I feel like.
Yeah, we got new tricks coming our way. Can we play the man is open, for God's sake?
I always forget about that.
Can we give the man his due? Got to give the man his due.
The Eno Sarris Show is sponsored by Fieldwork Brewing Company. With 8 taproom locations in Northern California, Fieldwork brings you fresh craft beer direct from the source. Fieldwork will also ship beer direct to your door if you live in California. Visit fieldworkbrewing.com.
Well, how you feeling, my man, with everything going on in baseball right now in the playoffs?
I think it looks pretty good. I think it's compelling baseball. Sometimes the changes between relievers and, there are a lot of strikeouts on the New York side of the ball in that American League one. But, it's not like it's all on New York. They struck out a little bit more than average, but they didn't strike out like the worst in baseball. Part of that is that the Houston Astros had the best pitching staff in baseball, and right now, if you look at it, the average fastball in the playoffs, the average fastball in the playoffs is 95.3 miles per hour. So I think that's why hitters are hitting 211 in the playoffs and why, the Yankees are having a little bit of trouble making contact.
So then you kind of wonder, okay, this is where modern baseball is going, right? Velocity's not going to dip back to what it used to be. That's where people have talked about moving the mound back. Just what do you think will be the next step to try and help offenses out?
I think you can do a little bit with the schedule and the roster. We've talked about, limiting how many pitchers can be on the roster. I see a little bit of evidence, for example, that starters are throwing more of the innings this postseason than they have in the last two. Now, how much of that was due to like 2020 short season, 2021, the season after a short season, but it is the first time in like the last 20 years that starters have pitched more innings in the postseason. And the postseason, a lot of times, is where we see something new happen, right? Like, for example, if you look over the history of the postseason, breaking balls We saw, like, in 2008, 22% of the pitches in the postseason were breaking balls. In 2017, that was 30%. Now we're seeing that in the regular season. So a lot of the stuff we see in the postseason gets tried out in the postseason. Then people say, well, why not do that all year? And so I wonder if we're starting to see, baseball say, hey, I think we were riding relievers too hard. Starting pitchers are actually pretty good. We should let the starting pitchers throw some more. And if you said you can only have 12 pitchers on your roster at any given time, then you would have to get more innings from your starter. So that's something you can do.
Well, you'd mentioned it earlier on this show that when you start looking at the numbers were always so much better bringing a reliever in than the starters, that those numbers started to average out. They got a lot closer. And I was thinking about this as now we like to throw out the average of the hitters versus the pitcher the third time through the order. And I was laughing with Cody going, everybody told me batting average doesn't matter with players, but now we want to use batting average when talking about pitchers third time. And I went, batting average really doesn't matter. It's, are they giving up runs? Because going a third time through the lineup, that's 9 outs. If you give up a hit or two, the average is going to go way up. But if you didn't give up any runs, what does it matter what the average is?
Yeah, I mean, slugging goes up too. It's not just the average. And I believe the third time the order is a thing, but why is it a thing? And one of the things that we know softens that is if you throw more pitches, right? So you have this breaking ball thing where breaking ball, throw more breaking balls. We've seen that. And I think it's going to go the same way that the reliever thing went, where at some point we're going to realize, oh man, we're throwing too many. And I think the light that's kind of going off is that a lot of times, sabermetrics or finding an edge with the analytics goes a certain point, and then the old but truisms are still true. So it's still true to have a pitcher with a lot of pitches. It's still true that that's good. A pitcher with a lot of pitches turns the lineup over more often, has a better third time through the order penalty. And so we're trying things like Spencer Strider, and Spencer Strider is amazing. The dude has 2 of the best pitches, 2 of maybe the top 10 pitches in baseball, but he only has 2 pitches. And the entire conversation I had with him when the Braves were in town was, don't you want another pitch? And he's like, but why should I throw another pitch if it's crappier? I have 2 really good pitches. So that is the sort of center of the new debate, I think, is should we throw more pitches? Should we try to get through the order more often? Or should we just have basically 5-inning closers?
I love how you put that. And that's one of the reasons why we love having you on the show, where you say there's the old truisms, and that's what, dealing with the game that's been played for a long time by human beings. So you got a good idea on stuff that works, but you're always trying new stuff and to get an edge on new stuff. But it can go too far and you get away from some of the truisms and you start to hurt yourself. And I'll ask just a really broad question about the Dodgers. They're very smart, but in crunch time, in small series, not a full season, in postseason, do the smart guys outsmart themselves?
That's a tough one. I mean, let's watch the Astros, because the Astros are the Dodgers, but they're winning, right? So there's not that much of a difference between the Astros and Dodgers.
Would you say the Astros handle their pitching different than the Dodgers?
I'm not sure, man. I mean, I guess they're a little bit more, they're a little bit more conventional with Ryan Presley as the closer, right? They're a little bit more conventional with bullpen roles. I'll give you that. But they are going to run, Luis Garcia and Jose Urquidy and some of these other guys out that were starters. They're going to run them out as relievers, and they're going to mix and match, and they're going to probably pull some surprises out of the hat. And in terms of the way they're run very similar to the Dodgers, where they spend a lot of money on player development, a lot of money on data and tech, and they try to develop players in-house while also buying free agents. I think that one of the differences is The Astros are closer to their peak in terms of the top 5 guys. Yordan Alvarez, Alex Bregman, those guys are closer to their peak. The Dodgers' top 5 guys, I think, are further from their peak. They're getting older. Their core is getting older. Now, the way the Dodgers survive that during the season and win so many games is they're awesome 1 through 30. And that should sound a little familiar in Oakland, right? The way that the Oakland has won a lot of games during the regular season is just making sure they have no zeros. When the A's have been good, they've had a good team from top to bottom, and they've won a lot of games. And then maybe they get to the postseason, they get outstarred, right? They hit a Yankees team that has a bunch of stars or whatever. So I think that's a little bit of what's going on with the Dodgers is they're really good. They're done the Farhan thing where, the bottom 5 guys on the roster, they're churning the waiver and they're picking up guys and they're finding new Max Muncies and they're like, oh, Evan Phillips, we got him off of waivers. He's awesome now. Like they're doing all that work and they're making sure that they're really good 1 through 30. And that's why they keep winning games. But I just basically think that their 1 through 5 doesn't stack up as well as other teams anymore.
Well, I thought about you when we did this the other day, because you've really educated us on what certain teams are doing and what they're investing in. And I just had to laugh when I think about Andrew Friedman's salary, and from his salary, everybody down in the front office, as you've mentioned, the PhDs that they have on staff, which I'm sure we throw in the independent contractors, we throw in all the millions of dollars they're spending on salary and technology. And in the end, they got in a do or die game against the Padres. The majority of the relievers they're throwing out there made either $720,000 or $700,000. So you spend millions of dollars on these mines to break down debt, but in the do or die game at the end, you're pitching guys making $700,000.
Yeah, I mean, I think they probably sometimes you get a little bit cute, right? I think, okay, I can get you a little bit. The nerds get a little cute. So there's a little bit of a story of that with LA, right? Like you could have just signed Kenley Jansen, right? You could have signed your guy that you've had forever and had a closer. Instead, you were like, no, Craig Kimbrell's going to be just as good, and he's only on a 1-year deal, and I don't know, whatever you thought. You came up with you had your stuff number. Ooh, your little stuff plus number, right? and your little stuff plus number said that Craig Kimbrell is better than Kenley Jansen. So you said, all right, we'll move some pieces around. We'll get Kimbrell in here. Well, Kimbrell, has had a long battle with his command, and we just saw him lose it again. And don't you think that the Dodgers would have rather have had Kenley Jansen at the back end of their bullpen than Craig Kimbrell this year? So sometimes you have to, I think any team that thinks of themselves as smart has to sort of reevaluate and be like, are we being too smart here? What's the dumb play here? Like, what's the quote unquote dumb play here? Maybe we should consider that one. Maybe we should just go, we're the Dodgers. Maybe we should just go get the very best. Maybe we should just sign Liam Hendricks. Maybe we should just sign the best reliever that's out there. Maybe we should do this. Like, maybe we should just act like the elephant in the room, like I've said, So, I think that to some extent the Yankees right now are feeling it too. They thought they were really smart. Like, oh, we want defense, right? So we're going to trade for Donaldson and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and Ben Rortvedt, right? You're like, who? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we're going to trade for these 3 guys because our defensive metrics say they're awesome. And we're going to have an awesome shortstop defender, an awesome third base defender, an awesome catcher defender. And, that's going to be so much better than Gary Sanchez. You know what would have been better? Sign Carlos Correa. Just take your wallet out and sign him for $300 million. That would have been way better. Instead, now they're like, okay, we're going to use a rookie that has like 100 plate appearances in the playoffs, at shortstop. But not in the playoffs. I mean, in all base, like the guy who's basically has 50 plate appearances, we're going to stick him here in the playoffs. And Oswaldo Peraza, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is not really doing it for us. So here we go, Peraza. So they're debuting shortstops in the postseason when they could have gone out and got one of the guys. So, and they're going to face that same decision next year, right? Because Trey Turner, Carlos Correa is going to be back out there. There's going to be 4 4, really good shortstops out there, are they going to say, "Nah, we got Oswald Peraza, man"?
Well, and you mentioned Correa. Correa's a guy that's the alpha male who fits great in what New York's trying to do, right? They want the guy. They want that guy that wants to be on the stage, on Broadway. He is that guy. He's been that guy in Houston. Would have been a perfect fit. That gets me back to my question. Are smart guys, I said the Dodgers, we could say it to the Yankees, are the smartisans outsmarting themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you really do have to consider the truths in the accumulated baseball knowledge over the history of baseball, right? And not everything that we thought before was right, but not everything we thought before was wrong either. So I don't know. I'm not gonna just say I have a real problem just saying the Dodgers are outsmarting themselves and they're doing something fundamentally wrong, because I was raised in Atlanta, man. And I was there from 86 to 94. And I would just tell you, they did something really right. That was a dynasty to me, and winning a lot of games and getting a chance to play in the postseason. That's the best you can do. And
they got beat, though, by really good teams. Those Braves teams, from what I remember watching all those games on TBS, just like you growing up in hot Atlanta, they never went out like chumps. To me, the Dodgers kind of went out like chumps. And we've seen them go out like chumps, to where Braves went out, they played really good teams, lost to good teams, multiple World Series. They're losing to teams that had Hall of Famers, great players. So you know what? We play the game. Somebody wins, someone loses. The Braves were always there. That says a lot. And they didn't trick it up. Unfortunately, sometimes they just didn't have enough bullpen help. The Braves team was a dynasty or great. Sometimes with the Dodgers, you just wonder, like, when they've gone out at times, they've just gone out and you're just like, man, it's just something's not right.
It's certainly possible. But you can also look at that team and be like, Mookie, Treya, Freddie Freeman, maybe they were just hurt by Walker Buehler, missing out on him. Maybe he would have been that alpha, starting pitcher that would have, pitched them into a victory. I don't know. I can't get with you 100%.
When we look at the NLCS, where are you leaning right now? 1-1, going to be tipping this thing off here in just a little bit. Philly, San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I will take the Padres' depth in pitching over the Phillies' depth in pitching right now, because they're going to run out. The Padres are going to run out Joe Musgrove and some combination of Mike Clevenger and some of their relievers they haven't quite used a ton of yet. But I think Mike Clevenger and Nick Martinez will be a big part of their plan. On the other side, the Phillies are going to run out Ranger Suarez and some combination of Noah Syndergaard and Bailey Falter and some of their relievers. I just take the Padres on those. I don't fault any of those guys and think they're terrible, but Joe Musgrove is better than Ranger Suarez. That's how I see it. I mean, he was a guy who threw the first no-hitter in Padres history, and he's a really good breaking ball guy. Got tons of breaking balls, got good feel on them. And then I do think Clevenger at this point, even though it's kind of funny, Clevenger and Syndergaard, it's a little bit like the washed bowl. The guys that used to be really good that aren't anymore. They're going to try and get 3 innings from each of those guys. And whoever gets the better 3 innings might win that game. But I do think it is interesting to think that like you need to have 5, 10 starting pitchers you need like 7, 10 starting pitchers to get through the regular season. You get to the postseason, you're like, do we have 4? Do we have 4? And in this case, the Padres are a little bit closer to saying yes, I think.
Will we have any issue tonight with ears, hair, anything on jersey, greasy, sticky? Or are we going to be a sticky-free game tonight?
I'm sure somebody be yelling about it. But one thing that I have noticed is, have you seen the guys having trouble hearing the pitch comm?
Yeah. Pitch comms
Yeah,
are going out a lot lately.
Yeah, they're going out, and they developed this thing where they cut a slit in the hat to drop like a little extra thing to try and get closer to the ear. And so that's been falling out, and they're actually literally cutting, holes in hats in order to get the pitch comm closer to the ear. But we all knew this was going to happen. That here's the thing that we debuted this year to help catchers talk to pitchers. And now we're in the postseason, we're super loud and everyone's yelling and I can't hear you. I can't hear you. So I think almost more likely than another sticky stuff scenario is one where crossed up catcher passed the ball past a crossed up catcher who thought a breaking ball was coming or thought a fastball was coming, gets a breaking ball and a runner scores. So, that's the sort of stuff that PitchCom is sort of inviting back onto the field.
Could there be sticky stuff on the PitchCom?
Combine it. Yes. I love
that. Like you wouldn't even look there. You're like, you take off your hat, your glove, and the umpire, like, you're good. And the whole time it's on the plastic of the PitchCom. Huh?
I do wonder, why certain pitchers get more scrutiny than others. And, you know what I mean? Like there are pitchers in these playoffs that have seen massive ups and downs in their spin rates that are not getting the same scrutiny. So it's just
because you backed Musgrove. You're like, I'm not totally seeing it.
Enforcement came and his spin rates stay the same. And then there's guys out there right now whose spin rates went down 200 and then came back up 200. I'm sorry, that's just way more, way more of an indictment than whatever Musgrove is doing.
All right, Paul Hembekides from ESPN earlier today. I asked him, of course. Let me start this by saying he is a Philly fan who hates New York, but he works in New York. ESPN. I said, "Are the Yankees done?" He goes, "Are they done? They're going to get swept." I'll ask you, are the Yankees done?
I think they'll win the Garrett Cole start, so I don't think they'll get swept. I think it's unfortunate they couldn't get Garrett Cole twice. And even getting Luis Severino twice is going to be tough. So I think they're done. But I don't think they'll get swept. Garrett Cole is going to get them a win. And as you saw, the Luis Severino game was close. So if they can get it to 6 or 7 and get Luis Severino back on the mound, maybe he gets a different result.
So by the time we talk to you next, we could have this thing decided. If you have to bet on, it looks like you're going Astros. Where do you think it will be nationally?
I'm giving the Padres the pitching advantage in the next 2 games, and it's a split series. If they win both those games, they're up 3-1. So I guess it's going to be Padres Astros. That'll be I guess that's my call. That'll be a real David versus Goliath in a lot of senses, I think.
Well, and look out, Matt Stairs is throwing out the first pitch tonight for the Phillies.
We should check him for sticky stuff.
The one thing is I really enjoyed these playoffs so far. When you look at the format, you look at the way things are going, how's everybody in your baseball community viewing it?
I like it. I tried to say something that didn't go over well. To explain it is, I think that the playoffs are a tournament, and to me, they are separate from the regular season. They're just very different.
Yeah.
All of these teams, any team that wins the World Series will have lost a season series to somebody. The Padres, if they get to the World Series, they were 9-10 against the Rockies, and they got swept in a series by the Rockies. I would never say that the Rockies were a better team than the Padres this year. So I know I'm walking a fine line here, but I'm just saying I would love to find a way to reward teams and say, hey, good job. That was great. 162 is a grind. You won whatever many games. Maybe you could put a banner up for regular season champion or something like that. I know Americans don't care. I know that doesn't, but that happens in soccer, that there are sort of regular season champions. And then there's like a tournament, a postseason tournament. So I just wanted to get that out there, that I'm not trying to devalue what's happening. I just it's a little bit frustrating. You let more teams into the playoffs, you devalue the regular season. When you devalue the regular season, you and I and people at work, 162 games. You know
a lot of pre and post game shows,
Oh my God.
A lot of shows I got to do.
You're going to devalue that? Then I say shorten the season, which I don't know if it'll ever happen because there's too much money riding on those games. But even 154 would give people more days off. Shorten the regular season if you're going to make, the difference is big. When we ask all these teams to do these extra postseason games, we're now asking players to play 180 games or so, when they didn't used to. Like you used to play 154 and then maybe play an extra 10 in the postseason. You know what I mean? You used to go right to the World Series. So now we're asking to play 180 games. Oh, and plus the spring training. So more like 200 games in the season.
Yeah, and ask the Braves to do it for 14 straight years.
Yeah.
It really is crazy. By the way, who is disagreeing with you on what you just said?
Oh, they're just calling me a sissy and stuff because I want
the trolls on Twitter.
Yeah. No.
You don't come after my Eno Sarris. We will back you. If they want to get in an alley and fight, A's Cast Live will be there for you.
No, but I hear that. I mean, the whole idea, what I was talking about sounded like a participation trophy, which people hate the idea of
Cody's
that.
in for that, by the way.
He's in the participation trophy?
Who would you rather have next year in your lineup? Cody Elias or Cody Bellinger? I think it's a fair question.
If we're talking about the fights with the trolls, I want Cody next to me.
But you know the thing that really it fried me and I hated it. And I'm glad we've corrected it for the most part. Think about this: we'd play one way for 5 months, then we'd allow September call-ups. So now we're playing the last month differently, and now we're getting into a postseason and tournament. So it's like we've never played the same way throughout the entire. I mean. The only way to really do the playoffs and make it like the regular season is to say, screw you, TV. We're playing
fewer days off.
We're playing 7 straight days.
And actually, that's what I like about this format. I mean, the wild card is 3 in a row, Yeah. And I don't know if it was just the rain or whatever, but there were fewer rest days. There's been a lot fewer shenanigans this playoffs, right? In terms of like openers and bullpen days and, that sort of stuff. They've had to rest guys. The Yankees had to rest Clay Holmes. They couldn't pitch him in certain games. So I like that. That's baseball.
I like there to be. I mean, ask my wife how much she loves when I have to work 17 straight days. We literally every series. Okay, first series is 3 games, 3 straight days. Second series is 5 games. I go, what about the players get on jets and fly around the country every single 3 days. I mean, they're used.
Yeah, it's more of a TV schedule thing.
It's a TV deal. It's for them to move people to hotels. If we really want to play the postseason the right way, you play 3 straight games, 5 straight games, then 7 straight games. And if it goes 7, obviously, and the AL, NLCS, and the World Series, you wouldn't have days off. We don't need days off. And then depth. And this would get back to what you want. You want the regular season teams who won all those games because of their depth. It would be more fair to them because then they utilize their depth because when you're having these days off, the teams with the less depth doesn't hurt them because they get days off.
100%. It just makes sense to have one game. To have one game, to have baseball look the same. Do I look at it in April or I look at it in June or look at it in September or look at it in October? It's the same game. So
let's sell the Athletic before we sell field work. Obviously, as I say all the time, if you love sports, you love baseball, football, basketball, you name it. It's soccer, hockey, golf. You guys cover everything. The Athletic, second to none when it comes to journalism. What do you got working on right now?
I'm gonna write up some of these trends we're talking about in the postseason and how they're different this year. I'm also working on a long-term piece, and we've been talking about it here about is there too much launch angle, and we've talked about it a little bit on this show before, and I'm teasing that out, and I've got some new really cool data from Baseball Savant, from MLB AM that helps track the actual bat path. So actually, it's sort of raw data of the angles of the bats, and we've got some really cool findings coming from that. So that's what we're doing at the Athletic.
And you see right now, I mean, just look at some of the balls, like the ball Bryce Harper hit to the opposite field down at Petco Park. Well, when it's like 92, 93 degrees at Petco and there's no marine layer, what to be heard of? Ball travels. Now you're going back to Philly where it's going to be in the 50s. I mean, it's we don't usually see too much West Coast to East Coast series and usually it's not this hot. I mean, right now, my house. What is this in Santa? It's 74 degrees right now outside my house.
Yeah. I just looked at all balls that go between 100 and 105 miles an hour and 20 and 25 degree angles. And I looked at them in the regular season, the postseason, just to see. One of my friends said, "Oh, well, the ball's juiced in the postseason. Everyone knows that." So I was like basically having like a group chat argument, and I was like, I do this for a living. Let me just refute that real quick. And so what I found was that postseason balls don't go as far, and that's generally because it's colder in October. So I do think it'd be interesting to go to Citizens Bank, which plays more offensive, but will be much colder. So I would actually think some of these games are going to be lower scoring.
Wait a minute, are you saying that all baseballs are not juiced for the playoffs?
That's what I'm saying.
Isn't it amazing?
There's no statistical evidence of that. Now, however, there is statistical evidence that use juice balls for the home run derby, but and nobody really cares about that.
Play the man his out. Play him. Give him his out.
The Eno Sarris Show is sponsored by Fieldwork Brewing Company. With 8 taproom locations in Northern California, Fieldwork brings you fresh craft beer direct from the source. Fieldwork will also ship beer direct to your door if you live in California. Visit fieldworkbrewing.com.
On Halloween, Eno Sarris will drink what?
I've got a little bottle of Parabolita. It's a small bottle of small stout, which I love. I love like 8 to 10 ounce cans of stouts. And it's salted caramel.
Ooh, wow.
And just a little bit of it. Yeah. Or else Dad will be asleep on the couch.
That's like next level.
Yeah, that's Firestone Walker right there.
Or you're just going to be like on a chair like this, just handing out candy.
Yeah. Take whatever you want.
Just take it. Get the hell out of here. All right, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
See you guys.
Great Eno Sarris. Oh, God, that's funny. I'm exhausted. You ready to talk 1973?
Oh, let's bring him on. Well, let's talk college football first.
Well, first of all, I don't even know if he was alive in 1973. He's too young.
I was alive. No, I remember it.
You were alive. Yeah, you're like 32 years old. What do you mean 1973? You remember?
Oh, wouldn't that be nice? No, I was 6, and I remember it. I have very strong memories of the 73 World Series and 73 playoffs.
Yeah, out of all the people that we bring on, like these years of greatness, when you talk about the A's of the 70s, and then what you would be at the age when the A's are 88, 89, 90, like you're at you got like the perfect ages. You're like a little kid. Your team's winning the World Series. Your team's winning the World Series every year as a little kid. I mean, when you were born and how the A's did, and even as you're a kid growing up, you get Ricky Henderson, you get Billy Ball. It was like for the A's and you, it's like a perfect marriage.
Well, it is. I mean, the fact that my family moved to Walnut Creek in 1968 when I was 6 months old, the month before the A's played their first game at the Oakland Coliseum as the Oakland A's, and a A's fan. So here he was yelling at Connie Mack, and now he moves and he gets transferred. He moves to California, and he's got the A's, and the A's are with him again. And then growing up, the formative years with the early 70s teams, and then really getting to know baseball, and that was Billy Martin and Billy Ball. And then when you could really afford to enjoy it was the Canseco McGuire late 80s team. So it was the timing was wonderful for me and totally got me into baseball because of what the A's were and what they could be.
By the way, speaking of Walnut Creek, this just in, we're going to have a World Series party at the Chicken Pie Shop in Walnut Creek next Friday, Game 1. We're going to throw a party, watch party. What are you doing on that Friday?
Well, hopefully I'm getting an invitation so I can drive on over and join you all, because that would be fantastic.
That's right. Bring people, bring friends. Let's pack the house. Let's watch game one. Let's talk A's. We're going to want you on the program. So I'm booking you now. Cody doesn't have to book you. We want you on the show in Walnut Creek. We'll start at 1 o'clock. It's going to be a 4-hour show. First pitch, have we figured out first pitch yet?
It still says TBD, but I'm assuming with Feld, you're in TV. I'm assuming it's going to be 5 p.m. first pitch Pacific time, so 8 on the East Coast.
So it's not going to be at like 1?
Yeah, you're talking about playing a World Series game at 1:07? So does that sound right? 5 p.m.? That sounds about right?
I think it's about 5 o'clock usually for game one. That's what they try, because they can do all their pregame show from 4:30 to 5, and their national anthem singer in their first pitch, and it's either going to be in Houston or in New York. So it's going to be interesting to see where that for game one of the World Series is going to be.
I think your gut says it's going to be in Houston.
I think it's going to be in Houston. I think Houston's the best team, and we've talked about that for a few months because they're the most complete team, right? And we've seen it with the way their bullpen is, especially in this postseason. Their bullpen is almost unhittable, and one of their best arms in the regular season, Ryan Stanek, he can't even get on the mound because the other guys are better. So Stanek's waiting in the wings, ready to go, but everybody else is kind of moved up a spot. And then now Brian Abreu last night, just nasty. That's why, to me, going into the postseason, their bullpen was settled. Their closer situation settled. Ryan Presley's got the 9th, or in some cases the 18th. It's settled who's going to pitch for them in the late innings. So that's why I think Houston's just the most complete team.
How about that at bat last night against Stanton, where he gets down 3-0, and then he comes back and gets the 3-1 fastball by him, and then the other, it's just like, Maldonado calls a great game, knows his pitching staff. By the way, Ryan Stanek, friend of the program, he can't make it on the field for the Astros. Sounds like an Oakland A already. We'll take him next year. Bring him on board.
You mentioned that at bat against Stanton. Base open, right? This was after the Judge fly ball. And I went back and I watched that again today. It was a fly ball to right. It wasn't no guaranteed homer. I don't know why all this whining is going on.
Stop it.
Right. So, and even if you go back and watch Boone's press conference, and he's kind of saying it with a smile on his face. Oh, the roof's open. They're killing us. He was even kind of joking about it. But, New York press and national media, they're going to jump all over those words. But Abreu's at bat to Stanton. He falls behind 3-0 with the base open. Rizzo's up next. You're thinking, okay, he's just going to put him on. He gets the call on the 3-0 pitch. A sinker probably was out of the strike zone. But then, like you said, 3-1 pitch. Here you go. Here's 99 right down the middle. And blew it by him. And then he paints on the corner. Just so impressive.
Will you getting over to the NLCS, will you shed a tear tonight before the game when Matt Stairs throws out the first pitch? As a former,
I love Matt Stairs. I love Matt Stairs. And he joined the A's when they were down in '96. This was the whole new era of the A's, starting with the Art Howe era in the '96, '97. And he's putting up big numbers, and he would hit big home runs. And just, he was Matt Stairs. He said what the A's were, right? They were picking guys up the scrap heap. This is a guy who was with the Red Sox and the Expos, but he couldn't find a job. And the A's give it to him, and he takes off with it. And now you got Matt Stairs, you got Geronimo Baroa, and just that's what the Oakland A's were all about. And Stairs has this great career, the all-time pinch hit home run leader. Always hitting the big bombs. Basically cost the Dodgers twice late in the 2000s because they were afraid of Matt Stairs, right? Hitting home runs. Just the thought of Matt Stairs hitting home runs sheds shivers down Dodger fans' back. I love Matt Stairs. It's going to be wonderful to see him out there.
A career 832 OPS, which is outstanding. 265 career dingers. And hit 262. He didn't hit a $150. He didn't hit 210. 262. That is respectable.
No, and the way he swung the bat, he went up there looking to do damage. And the other thing that he had, it was one of those strange things, but foreign-born big-name pitchers, Hideki Irabu, El Duque, Orlando Hernandez, Hideo Nomo, he got them all. It was just one of those strange things where foreign-born pitchers who had these great histories would come in, and Stairs would just take them deep. He'd go yard on them.
Isn't he Canadian?
Yeah, he's Canadian. Yeah,
It was international on international crime.
It 100% was. And he just, for whatever reason, boom, he'd go bridge.
All right, so Houston will be hosting who in the World Series?
Yeah, I don't know. Those two teams are so similar. The way the Padres pulled out that game against the Phillies in Game 2, being down 4-0, you just think, nah, this is going to happen. Aaron Nola's too good. And they win the game with a big inning, just like they won the game against the Dodgers with a big inning. So I don't know what's going to happen. This is must-see TV to watch those two teams go at it. They're so similar. And the fan bases are just jacked. I mean, Citizens Bank Park is going to be just ringing tonight.
Like a club tonight.
Yeah, it's just going to be, you're going to be feeling the vibrations when you're watching this game because those fans are so into it. And it's going to be a battle. I think this series is going 7 games, and I don't know who's winning.
All right, let's get back to the 1973 team. But you see there on your screen, if you can't, if you're not watching us on Twitter or YouTube and you're listening on A's Cast, we're having a World Series party, Chicken Pie Shop, Walnut Creek, 1251 Arroyo Way. Be there on Friday. We will have more details coming up. We're just kind of breaking this today. So the Chicken Pie Shop on Friday. Last Dive Bar is going to be there. Bip Roberts is going to be there. You're going to be there. We're going to have prizes to give away. It's going to be a great Game 1 watch party, and it's just going to be hanging out, talking A's baseball, and watching the World Series. You know, the thing that we just talked to Rollie Fingers about, and it never gets brought up enough, and, you know, it's the old iron sharpens iron, is that the A's, whether it was Detroit or Baltimore, these ALCSs to get into the World Series were no day at the beach, especially when they took on Baltimore, when Baltimore's got their pitching and their Hall of Famers.
Yeah, this is a Baltimore team that had just gone to 3 straight World Series in 69, 70, and 71, right? Missed out in 72, but now they're back winning the AL East in 73, and then they'll win it again in 74. They tested the A's. The pitching, you know, the Palmers and the Cuellars, they tested the A's every which way. And you think about it, they took the A's to 5 games in 73. Catfish had to pitch Game 5. And he pitched a shutout. I mean, he's Catfish Hunter. He's a Hall of Famer. That's what he does. But it made him unavailable for the first 2 games of the World Series. That's putting the A's at a disadvantage, except for the Mets, the 82-win Mets. 82 wins. They took the Reds to 5 games in the NLCS. That took Tom Seaver out of Game 1 of the World Series. So here you got the 2 stud pitchers. They're both not going to go until Game 3. And that kind of, again, even the playing field as far as the A's not having Catfish for Game 1, the Mets did not have Tom Seaver for Game 1.
With a 42-year-old Willie Mays. I mean, it's hard to be like, I remember when we were airing those games during COVID. I mean, because obviously I was 1 year old. I don't remember, right? I didn't watch it. And then it's like Yogi Berra is the manager, and like Willie Mays is hitting third at 42 years old, and he's not the same Willie Mays. You start looking at that, okay, Rusty Staub, I know him. I mean, the rest of the team, you're like, who are these guys, and how the hell did they make the World Series?
Yeah, kind of a magical year for them. Rusty Staub was terrific. Got hurt in those playoffs, hurt his shoulder, couldn't throw the ball, and that would come out to really haunt the Mets in Game 7. But it put him on the bench and put Willie in center field to start that series. You have Felix Mion playing second base, and you watch the highlights and you see where he chokes up. I mean, he's choking way up on the bat. And there was a guy, you know, back then in the 70s, there was 1 or 2 guys on every team who did that. Now there's basically Jeff McNeil for the Mets is the only guy you actually see choke up in today's game. But Felix Mion, you had Bud Harrelson in shortstop, Milner, who would end up going to be part of the hit parade with the Pirates later in his career. But yeah, not a, you know, Wayne Garrett, not a star-studded Met team that just, with that pitching, with Seaver and Matlack and Kuzman, Tug McGraw in the bullpen, and Yogi, they had found a way. Again, they only won 82 games in the regular season, beating out the Cardinals to win the NL East. But they found a way in the NLCS to beat the Reds. This was still the big red machine. You can, you know, every red team from basically 70 through 76 was the same. It's the same Reds team. They were able to beat them. Took the A's to 7.
Rollie Fingers, we have made the case, and people will call us homers, but we have made the case that he's the greatest reliever of all time. You look at the volume, you look at the numbers, You look at the amount of high leverage innings he pitched in. Immediately, they're going to say you're jackasses. Mariano Rivera is by far the greatest of all time. Are we being honks, or are we making a legitimate case?
No, it's a legitimate case because the way relievers were used now in the 70s, much different than they're used today, or even Rivera's time or Dennis Eckersley's time. And I think, look at Game 7 of the 73 World Series for a great example. Ken Holtzman pitched fantastic. And this is a guy who got knocked out in Game 4 in the first inning. Got knocked out in the first inning of a World Series game. Comes back in Game 7, hits a big double to start the A's 4-run rally. Second double of the series. A guy who hadn't had an at-bat all year because that was the first year of the DH. Still wearing his helmet backwards, which is the key to watch when you watch a Ken Holtzman at bat. His ear flap is not protecting his left ear, the one facing the pitcher. It's protecting his right ear. It's not doing anything. He hits two doubles wearing the bad air flap, and he hit a home run in 74 with the bad air flap. Anyway, but you think of Rollie. So Ken Holtzman's dealing. He's got a 5-1 lead. Sixth inning, 1 out. Rollie Fingers is coming into the game in the 6th inning. He's your closer, and that's what they hoped that he was going to do. And he pitches 3 1/3 in Game 7. And he only gets taken out in the 9th because Gene Tennis makes an error at first base. Lefty hitter's coming up, and they want to put Darryl Nose in to get the lefty-lefty. Darryl Nose pitched in all 7 games of the World Series. First pitcher to ever do that in a 7-game series. But 3 1/3. And that was not uncommon. And if you look back at the A's, especially in the postseason, seeing Rollie Fingers come in early in games and pitch long. He does it in 74, right? He comes in and pitches, and Catfish Hunter comes in and saves him. It was just the way he was used. And he was so effective for these long outings. And you don't even see middle relievers go 3 1/3 anymore, right? To see a middle reliever go 2 innings is a big deal. This is a closer going 3 1/3.
It's amazing. It's absolutely. I mean, his numbers are just the volume that he gave you. He's special and one of a kind, really. I don't know if we'll ever see. And there were guys. I mean, Goose Gossage gave you multiple innings. I mean, there were relievers back then that did that, but no one was better than Rollie Fingers. When you look back out of the 3 teams, I know Reggie didn't play in the 72 series because he got hurt scoring against the Tigers. But let's just say Reggie is on 72's team, World Series team. When you look at the 3, they're so similar because pretty much the same players for the majority of it. Can you really say one was better than the other? Can you say, well, that one was the best?
Yeah, I think you can say 74 was the best. And 74 is because they were now the most complete team. In 72, right, you didn't have Reggie in the World Series. And you still kind of had some question marks in the outfield, right? It wasn't set, and that's why they went out and traded for Billy North to be their center fielder. Well, Billy North sprained his ankle in late September of 73. He was not available in the postseason. Reggie played center field. It was Reggie, Vic Davalillo was playing out there, depending on lefty, right. Jesus Alou. I mean, they're basically platooning an outfield. 74, it's a complete team. Everybody's healthy, right? And they were just unstoppable. They were so good that year. Rudy, North, Reggie, Bando, Campy, Dick Green, Gene Tennis, Ray Fosse. And then you have your starters in Hunter, Holtzman, Blue, Odom, Rollie in the bullpen. They used 5 pitchers the entire postseason in 74. 5. And you go back to the whole season of 74, they used 11 pitchers total, but 9 pitchers threw all but 6 1/3 innings, I think it was. 9 pitchers, basically the entire season. That was the most complete team and probably the best of the 3.
Sounds like one playoff game today.
Yeah. One to get 9 pitchers to get through one game. It's just, you talk about these teams that come up together. I know Reggie has talked about it at these reunions, and Rudy talks about it. They came up together, and they learned how to play together, and then Dick Williams takes over and really teaches them how to be winners, right? They needed that, and the discipline that Dick Williams taught them how to win games. And that was overshadowing all of 1973 World Series was Dick Williams' unhappiness with being the A's manager. Not with the players, but with Charlie Finley. He had finally had enough of Charlie Finley, and then here's the A's winning the World Series, and the headline is Dick Williams resigns. He resigns right after they win the World Series. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's only in Oakland. By the way, Charlie Finley, the greatest owner / executive to build a championship team and do it while living in a completely different part of the country.
Yeah, by far. Doing it all in Chicago, by phone.
And doing it all by a phone that has a cord.
Yes, by a cord. And he's got his people on the phone. Eventually, Hammer used to give him play-by-play over the phone. MC Hammer would do it. And here's I don't know if I ever told you the story. So MC Hammer used to do the play-by-play to Reggie, to Charlie Finley. And he would spice up his commentary. It's Hammer, right? He's going to be colorful. So he's given the play-by-play, and he's giving you the whole thing. So one day, Hammer's not available to do this. And Jack McKeon, at this point, he's a former manager, but he's going to be a future manager again. But Jack McKeon gets assigned to, hey, you need to be on the phone with Charlie and tell him what's going on. So Jack McKeon's on there just going, ball, strike, and Charlie's losing his mind. No, you got to do it like Hammer. You got to give me some color. Do it like Hammer. Jack McKeon's like, what am I doing here?
Now, was it a rotary phone? Could you push buttons? Like what? I mean, people don't realize the genius of Charlie Finley running a team in Chicago, Illinois, and the team was in Oakland. And he doesn't get to watch them, and it's all done by a phone with a cord.
Yeah, and it's basically a red direct dial phone, right? It's got it basically, he picks it up, it rings in Oakland, it's a direct line. And that's how he communicated. He had a line to the press box. He also had a line to the dugout. And there's always been conflicting stories of how much he actually called the dugout. He called the dugout. When he used to sit, you've seen the World Series films, and you've seen him sitting in the first row behind the dugout. He's got a phone right there. There's a phone he could just pick up. Oh, my God.
By the way, who you got this weekend?
I have Colorado at Oregon State.
Colorado? Well, hey,
Colorado.
they beat your buddy Roxy Bernstein's Cal Bears.
Roxy's calling that game.
Roxy's calling the game?
Roxy's calling the game. He's still upset. He still doesn't think that was a touchdown in overtime by the Colorado receiver. Got called a touchdown. Looked like he bobbled the ball. Roxy, maybe you should have more problem with your two Cal receivers who dropped certain touchdowns by just not holding onto the ball.
With the great Lincoln Kennedy.
The great Lincoln Kennedy. The charismatic Lincoln Kennedy.
College Football Hall of Famer Lincoln Kennedy.
Yeah, and probably should be a NFL Hall of Famer as well. It's tough for offensive linemen to get into the NFL Hall of Fame, but Lincoln was one hell of a player.
Probably the best right tackle in Raiders history.
Yeah, by far. And to hear him tell the stories of the Tuck game, unbelievable.
And literally the largest man in the world.
So you know what we have to do when we put them on camera, right? Because Roxy is not a large gentleman. And Lincoln is a humongous human being. So we actually have to put Roxy on a Apple box. It's rocks on a box. You've heard of Elf on a Shelf? It's rocks on a box.
Well, in the Raiders plane, it was Musburger behind me, Lincoln Kennedy in front of me. So when Lincoln sits back on the seat, those airplane seats would just give.
No.
So I would have this seat in front of me the whole time. And you think I'm going to say, hey, can I complain about this guy? Can you move him? Yeah, Lincoln always sat in front of me on the plane. So I got to see that head and neck for hours at a time.
You know how I know how much Lincoln is respected around the game of football. We do coaches calls and coaches meetings right before the game. So we talk to the head coach and the coordinators. And now we do them by Zoom. Especially with the visiting team, we do by Zoom. So we'll be on, the coaches will be on, and then Link will come into the room, and the coaches just light up when they see him. They have such respect for him as a football player and as a human being. They just love talking to him. And that shows you just how Lincoln is thought of around the game of football.
Yeah, I mean, on the plane, he's retired. He's still the biggest guy on the plane. Yeah. And like all the current players are always like Mr. Kennedy, yeah, because he's the biggest, baddest dude on the plane, even though he's 50 years old. All right, so Pac-12 Network, Oregon State, Colorado.
Oregon State, Colorado. That's tomorrow night. You know what? If you haven't seen a game in Oregon State this year, it's a lot of fun because much like the A's in 1996, the Beavers are playing in a stadium that's going through reconstruction. So there's only half a stadium where fans are sitting. It's across the way. So one half of the stadium's completely empty as the construction's going on. So everybody's packed into one side, and that place is jumping. And the students are really into Beaver football right now. Jonathan Smith, their head coach, former Beaver quarterback in the early 2000s, beat Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl. These people are buying in, and they're having a great time. So to watch on TV, you think, why am I watching an Oregon State game? It's so cool because that place, again, much like Philadelphia tonight, it's vibrating in that stadium because all these people are packed into one side.
Well, I'll tell you what, I got my main TV, I got 2 iPads. I always have you guys and my respect and love for Roxy and Link. You will be on one of the iPads tomorrow night. Next Friday.
I appreciate that.
Walnut Creek, we need you in the restaurant on the show on Friday.
100%. That's a home game for me. You know I'm going to be there.
We'll see you on Friday. Have a good broadcast tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, fellas.
The great David Feldman right here on A's Cast Live. In this box, right here, I have treats from our wonderful sponsor. And our sponsor, Last Dive Bar, has sent, I don't even know what we have. Oh, look at that. Huh? Now we have a place for you to put all your drinks so you don't get it all over our see, this is the stuff you can get on Last Dive Bar. So now you can't get it all over. I was going to call this a tarp. What do we call this?
Tablecloth?
Our tablecloth. Look at that.
Well, I keep my drinks on the ground, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Here, I can. Here.
Well, yeah, you're really good at selling the product. You know that? All right. You can get these as the Stephen Vogt collection.
I like the mask one. It's just like the shirt. I mean, this is essentially the shirt on the coasters.
My wife, you know what? I'm going to take these, and my wife complains. You know what?
There's one for each of us. I can actually have new coasters at home.
No, you're not taking them. We're going to put them. We got to put them. We'll get them out on the. We got to get. Now we have a new. If you haven't noticed, we got a new camera going today. We're getting new technology. Where else can we put this? You figure out a place to put this. I can't wait to see what we got. What else we got?
I think I'm going to assume. I'm going to guess mugs.
Well, we broke our favorite last dive.
There's no we. I wasn't here.
You were talking to me and distracting me. It's your fault. It's never my fault. It can't be my fault.
All right, Draymond.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, hey, Warrior fans, that was him, not me. I'm all about Draymond and his professionalism. It's back. My favorite mug.
You had a 1 in 4 chance. You had a 25% chance of opening that mug.
It's look how good this mug stands out on TV. It looks good on it looked so good when I did the hits on NBC during the season.
You know what's so nice is I have this remote. I can just
zoom in on that baby. Zoom in on that. Look at that. And then next to the Dick Callahan mug, also made by Last Dive Bar.
Look at this. Look at that. Look at this is like we call this product placement.
Product placement. Put on the beer stein. Can you get on the beer stein? Look at that. Look at the new toys we got. Got that.
Oh, whoops. No, not why. Now it's did auto framing. Now I hit the wrong button. That's a user error on my part.
All righty. You get beer steins. You get everything at Last Dive Bar. If you're an A's fan and you don't go to Last Dive Bar, you should do all your Christmas shopping there.
There we go. There's the beer stein. There we go. Now it's on manual.
Oh, look, we got the Chris Davis bobbleheads back out. Oh, Sean Manaea's got brought out.
Where's the Manaea? He's in this.
We felt we needed some grieving time.
There you go.
We needed some grieving time. But now the season's over. We might, we still got Matt Olson.
No one's got a chance to see it because it's always blocked. This is the Safeco Field snow globe we have right there that has a retractable roof on it. So, I mean, this is great. Nolan Ryan in the background. Nolan's right here.
Oh, how about the Stephen Vogt mug? Oh, how good is that? It's like Christmas here at A's Cast Live.
There's Rollie, who was on the show a little over an hour ago.
Rollie and Ricky, we got to get the Hall of Famers. They can't leave the set. We got to get Reggie. I got Catfish. Where the hell did the catfish go?
We got to get all the guys who have their jerseys retired to be on our desk.
Now, here's the question. This is a legit question to A's fans. I have this Catfish Hunter action doll. It's a Cooperstown collection. It's in the box, though. I almost feel like taking it out of the box would be horrible.
Probably, yeah. It's collectible.
It's a collectible, right? I mean, look, you can get Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, Cal Ripken, Mike Schmidt. Maybe we put it on the desk somewhere.
Don't forget your Finley's Heroes.
Oh, I got the album. See, I got so much stuff. That's why we need this new camera.
You're also forgetting the most important bobblehead on the desk.
Well, the greatness.
Yeah, you didn't.
Bill Walsh.
Here, look. For everyone can't see here, hold Bill. There's Bill.
San Jose State, Bill Walsh. San Jose State. Bill Walsh graduated from San Jose State, played football at San Jose State. Don't you ever forget it. One of the great San Jose State Spartans of all time. All right. Well, we got another coffee mug. This has got Hawaiian print on it. Ooh, nice. Hawaiian print last dive bar coffee mug.
Here, hold on.
Can you see it? Nice. One more to go as we're ending the show.
Oh, wait, we got to focus on Campy and Ray. There's Ray.
There's Ray.
Don't forget that you might not be able to see it, but Ray did personally sign that bobblehead box.
Yes, that is a signed Ray Fox. I will never, ever take that box, never take that bobblehead out. The greatness of Ray Fox. He got that for me. There weren't any left. He went and got one because he's Ray Fosse. This is one more Stephen Vogt. Coffee.
Great on MLB Network also.
Would you like one?
I don't drink coffee, but sure.
There you go.
My wife does.
Will she drink it?
Yeah.
Will she use it?
Yeah. She drinks coffee.
Yeah, but will she use the Stephen Vogt mug?
Yeah.
Does she believe in Stephen Vogt?
She does. I'll trade you the mug for one of the coasters.
I already have one of the mugs.
I just want the coaster. I'm a big coaster guy at home.
Okay. I'm trying to sell product. See the difference between me? I'm trying to sell product, get you to go to Last Dive Bar and get product. He wants to take stuff home to use. I'm trying to sell product for our sponsor.
By the way, if you don't know what we're talking about, Last Dive Bar banners running down below tells you what everything you can get. Ray Fosse line, T-shirts, sweatshirts. Ray Fosse lights have taken full effect. Ken, correction. Hopefully, we get an Ace Cast line going soon. LastDiveBar.com. We're hoping to get an Ace Cast friend of the program shirt made out. There's only a select few of us that have that shirt. That love it when we have it.
And this is the proceeds are going to go to Stephen Vogt's charity.
Correct. And then everything else goes to the A's Community Fund. So all the money goes back into.
Yes, you go to Last Dive Bar and spend money. It all goes to the A's Community Fund or people affiliated with the A's Community Fund. They're not taking the cash and pocketing it. It all goes to good causes to help people in Oakland, in the East Bay. Everybody affiliated with the A's and the A's Community Fund, it's about helping people who need help right now. And especially in a time where people can't afford to live, people can't afford to eat, people can't afford a lot of things. The A's Community Fund's helping a lot of people, and the Last Dive Bar is doing that.
I just put Brian's comment up there from YouTube. We made the whole vote collection, and the proceeds benefit his charity.
There you go. There you go. What time is first pitch tonight?
4:37, I think. I have let me double check. I think it's 4:37 our time. It is.
You want some nuggy nugs on the way out before this?
4:37 on FS1. Suarez versus Musgrove.
You want some nuggy nugs before we get out of here?
Sure.
Game 3 winner in the NLCS. Game 3 winner. Actually, this is both ALCS and NLCS. Game 3 winner has gone on to win the series 67 of 97 times. You know what that percentage is?
Give me the numbers again.
67 of 97.
That would be around 60 to 70%.
69%. Philly has won 18 of 27 postseason games all time at Citizen Bank Park. Because you remember back in the day, they had a good team. Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, and the boys.
This is their first NLCS game since 2010?
They're claiming we're going from 92 degrees San Diego to 58 degrees Philadelphia. It's going to be a little chilly.
Well, that's welcome to Pennsylvania in October.
Joe Musgrove is 2-0 with a 0.77 ERA in 6 starts dating back to September 17th. Suarez, Ranger Suarez, only other appearance in the postseason, we got roughed up by the Braves and had a career-high 5 walks, 3 1/3, and he got pulled. Manny Machado, is he having a good playoffs?
You mean the guy that wasn't a Gold Glove guy? Yeah, he is.
Hitting .306, 3 dingers, 6 RBIs this playoffs. By the way, the trade acquisitions for the Padres, Drury with a home run, 3 RBIs, Bell with a home run, 2 RBIs, Soto with a double and an RBI, and Hader struck out the side. By the way, Hader, 8 consecutive strikeouts going back to Game 3 of the NLDS.
I know everyone told me he was done. He was finished. He wasn't a good pitcher
You know
anymore.
who said he wasn't done?
Twitter.
Bob Melvin.
Bob would know. I mean, he's around the guy every day.
And a guy that you said wouldn't even be around. You said he had a broken thumb and he was done. You said Bryce Harper, stick a fork in him. We'll see at spring training. And he said, not so fast, my friend.
Thank you, Lee Corso.
To quote the great number 2 pencil, Lee Corso. Bryce Harper looks to become the first player to have an extra base hit in 8 consecutive postseason games.
He's unbelievable.
In the same postseason. I did it, but it was in back-to-back postseasons. Who am I?
How many extra base hits was it?
8. 8 consecutive games, I had an extra base hit. It was in back-to-back postseasons, 97, 98.
Oh, 97, 98.
Who am I?
Bernie Williams.
No.
Was it a Yankee?
Who else could it be? 97, 98.
Could be the only team I can think of. Other team would be a Brave.
I never said he wasn't a Yankee.
Jeter.
Who am I?
Paul O'Neill.
Paulie O'Neill.
Wow, that was a great guess.
What, on the 4th try?
3rd. It's okay.
Harper is looking to do that, be the only guy in the same postseason. Harper, by the way, hitting .464, 4 dingers, 4 doubles, 7 RBIs in his last 7 games. Is that a guy coming to play?
He's been great in the postseason. This has been great for the Phillies overall.
Do you want to play another Who Am I?
Sure, real quick.
Harper is looking to become the first Phillies player with an 8-game playoff hit streak since Ryan Howard in 2009. The franchise record is a 10-gamer set back in 1993. Who am I? 1993, everybody has a mullet.
Oh, God.
Everybody had a mullet on the 93 Phillies.
I want to say it was their center fielder.
Who
I can't
am I?
I can't remember a lot of guys on that team.
You don't remember the 93 Phillies?
I just remember a lot of their pitchers.
Dutch Dalton.
I was thinking of, that's the first guy I was thinking of, but I was thinking of a lot
John Kruk.
Kruk.
Crucky.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think. Those are the only 2 guys I can think of.
Lenny Dykstra. You don't remember Lenny Dykstra?
Yeah, but I remember. I know who Dykstra is, but I didn't really pay attention to 93 Phillies. I can name you 93 Blue Jays. Oh, I didn't really care about the Phillies.
Wow. They played in your division, Mr. Pirate fan.
The Pirates are starting to stink then.
Game 3. Who's your winner?
Oh, Padres. Can't pick Philadelphia. It's against everything in my core.
I'm going Philly.
Remember, I'm the only person on this show that picked Bob Melvin to make it past the Dodgers.
All right. I'm going Philly. But you grew up in San Diego. I don't care. I'm going Philly.
Wait.
I've been picking the Phillies all year long.
Shall we end the show with?
This is embarrassing.
Let's do this. Come on. Philly going down to yellow and brown.
That's what's in.
Padres on the loose. Let's go, Goose. That's what's in. Bryce gonna lose, and Manny's gonna cruise. That's what's in. Give Philly no slack and send them back. That's what's in. So back, Philly, back.
Have you heard the full thing?
Philly, back. Back, Philly, back. Back, Philly, back.
the fact that people on on KUSI on their morning news thought this was good, and we're going to put that on the air. Like they thought it was good.
That's where I got it from.
Like they were laughing, and they were like, and then this thing went viral. That went viral, and everybody just made fun of it like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, it was all over Twitter, and it was like how the Phillies going to recover from this. It was pretty good. Let me get this read in real quick. Secure your seats for our 1973 team reunion celebration on Sunday, April 16th, with our 73 flash sale presented by Budweiser. From October 21st, today, to the 25th, which is Tuesday, tickets will be available at 1973 regular season prices for $5.50. Don't miss out. Visit athletics.com/flash sale. That's athletics.com/flash sale. That's a lot to say at the end.
$5.50.
Yep. That's what we're doing.
$5.50. That, I mean, you want to talk about the biggest no-brainer? That's incredible. Wait, it's open till when?
It's open from today till Tuesday, I think at noon.
We got to pump this again on Monday.
Yeah, their spot's going to be running on.
You're not hammering this, for God's sakes.
Yeah, the team reunion April 16th against the Mets. I believe it's where we're playing. I believe it's the Mets.
And don't forget, next Friday, Chicken Pie Shop, Walnut Creek. What did we say the address was?
1251 Arroyo Way, Walnut Creek.
We will be there from 1 to 5 doing A's Cast Live up to first pitch. We're having a World Series watch party, Game 1. We're going to have a lot of stuff to give away. A lot of stuff. We'll see everybody back on Monday. We'll be on from 1 to 4. Who's on?
So far, Roxy is going to be back. Franny told me yes, he would do it, and I told him the time, and, well, he ghosted me.
That's what's in?
Yeah, that's what's in, yeah.
That's what's in. Enjoy the NLCS. Enjoy the weekend. We'll see everybody on Monday. Thank you for listening and watching A's Cast Live.
Secure your seats for our 1973 team reunion celebration on Sunday, April 16th with our 73 flash sale presented by Budweiser.